was like, what do you care about them? What do you care about those people? What difference does it make to you? Take care of your own life. Do the best you can for you and your family. What do the rest of the people mean to you? They don't mean anything to you. They're just serfs. They're just people. You know, what's the end goal? The end goal is to get everybody chipped, to control the whole society. They want a one-world government controlled by them. Everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip.
One, two. Welcome back, comrades. You're in tune to the one and only.
Rise above, generate, rise above, distinguish fear, rise above.
How is everyone doing? We are back with the first live show in, what is it, 6 weeks, Andy PG?
6 weeks, Michael.
Raw. It feels good to be back in the studio. Who have we got tuned in? Oh, big shout out to the Bobby Dazzler report. I've never seen you before. You're new.
There was 113 peasants
113
currently.
tuned in. Let's get this shared to all of your social media. What's going on with that camera?
I don't know. That's my feet.
We're off to a good start.
That is not a good start.
Showing off the new shoes.
Just get rid of that camera for the moment until it sorts itself out. Okay, yes. So we are back with a live show tonight, guys. Thank you for everyone who braved the desolate Soviet wasteland of no rise above for 6 weeks while we were having a break.
Mate, they've been sweating.
They have been sweating, but you know what? We needed a break. It was great to recharge, and even better, we've got some exciting stuff to tell you guys about. Oh yeah, by the way, we fixed the problem where the whole studio was sounding a bit quiet.
Yeah,
I did a Queef Master Pro update, and now I think
a reset.
Basically we reset the Queef Master Pro. I got a software update. I think everyone can agree now that we are sounding nice and crisp. Please let us know that we are appropriately loud and everyone can hear us nicely. Yeah.
Don't forget, guys, share the stream. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, all that shit.
Absolutely.
Hit the like button.
As you saw in the title screen, we have got a guest tonight and we've got a big subject to talk about in about 7 or 8 minutes. It's Mr. Matt Landman, and he is the creator of a film called Frankenskies, which came out a little while ago. Basically, tonight, guys, we're going to get to the bottom of the lines in the sky.
Because they're more prominent than ever.
They absolutely are. Let me just start. Yeah, that's
and they're fucking ruining the summer, man.
Yeah, that's how I wanted to see it, like that. Okay, right. So, what's been going on with Rise Above? This is tonight's show. Matt Landman, Frankenskies. That's coming up very shortly. Did you know we're gonna have live shows every 2 weeks? By the way,
every other week. Yeah.
Every other week we're going to be going live. That's the new format for Rise Above. Now, in 2 weeks, it is none other than the 33rd Olympic Games.
That's right.
And funnily enough, that's going to be episode 133.
How synchronistic.
How synchronistic is that? Shamon, motherfucker. Right, I didn't plan it like that, but we thought it would be silly because to not do a Royal Olympic special on this particular day, because the opening ceremony,
the ceremony
is going to be taking place. So we're going to have like a really busy day watching it, analyzing it, and then sort of like we're going to be doing the live that night, only a few hours after the ceremony is taking place. So I'm just trying to get.
It's going to be a long afternoon. It's like a fucking 6
hour
hour opening ceremony.
I'm trying to get to grips with the studio here because they've changed the format. Big shout out to Becky S, by the way, as well.
133 peasants tuned in.
We got totally distracted by the fact that your camera was going wonky. Okay, so that's going to be the next live show in 2 weeks' time. Okay, we're going to be in the studio next week. We're going to be planning that and
doing some stuff
and doing some background,
some media stuff.
Yeah, some media stuff. Right. So let me just get I'm just getting Patreon up. Why is it being weird? Like
Peasantron.
Peasantron. Okay. So Oh yeah, this is something very, very exciting that we've got to tell everyone
dropping
about.
this now?
Yeah, we're dropping it now. The flights are booked,
Okay,
mate. The flights are booked.
let's do it.
So does everyone remember that we were part of something called Anarchapulco, which is basically the planet's leading anarcho-capitalist freedom libertarian conference? It takes place in Mexico. It's organised by the dollar vigilante Jeff Berwick. We did a virtual presentation for those guys at their last year's event. Very pleased to be a part of it. Well, lo and behold, we got an email a couple of weeks ago. There is an event happening in Serbia on the border of a country called Liberland.
Which we'd never fucking heard of.
Well, no wonder we hadn't heard of it.
No.
This country was only created in 2015.
Yeah.
It's
a freshie.
It's a crypto Michael nation. Andy PG coined that. I can't take credit for that. Press the Michael button. It's a micronation built by crypto sharks and anarcho-capitalists. And long story short, they're doing a collaboration with Anarchapulco. It's called Liberpulco. It's happening in September, and they're actually flying us out there.
The president is flying us
Basically,
out.
this is so dope, guys. We're going to be doing a workshop telling people how to create new organic media, i.e., like the story of how we created this show, Rise Above. Oh, look, Becky's how fitting. I'm talking about us creating a media station, and someone has put too much WD-40 on the webcam arm there. So yeah, we're going to be doing like not a virtual presentation, and in the flesh presentation about how to create new organic media. But more excitingly, we're also going to be performing at the Friday night party, which is also the president of Liberland's birthday party.
It's 50th, I believe.
I believe it is.
50th.
His name is Vit. I don't know his surname. I can't pronounce it. He's actually from the Czech Republic, I believe.
Yeah.
He's the president of Liberland. So
he's the founder.
Mate, we've been flown up there on VIP guests.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really sick. We're taking the Ramesh Wags as well. So Becky,
and Magix.
Magix. So it's going to be me, Andy PG, and Magix. And Magix is already preparing a special 2-hour set for the president's birthday. Can you imagine the prestige?
I think there's going to be there's talk of some remixes.
Yeah.
Of some of their.
There's going to be some serious remixes.
National anthem.
So liberpolco.com. There is Rise Above is the code. You get 10% off. I'm going to put this in all of our links going forward. So tickets are available now. We're very, very excited to be
Auntie
a part of
Kavia
this.
has just coined God Madge in the chat there.
God Madge
for Magix.
Oh right, I see. Right, okay. So Patreon.
Peasant.
Big shout out to everyone that is subscribing to our Patreon account. We've hit 50% of our target. Okay, now I'm just going to let you guys know that like what you get when you're a member of our Peasantron, it only costs £3 a month or $3.33. What did we do last week? We did a Godvag watch party. So we're watching some of our favorite creators and critiquing their work, and it was very, very good fun as well.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
You also get the digs that Lost Coviet broadcast. I'm uploading the old episodes of Rise Above that have been completely deleted.
Because we're behind a paywall now. We can put up what we like.
Yeah, behind a paywall, you can say what you like. It's really great. We recommend Peasantron. Also,
is that the intro, Lance? Go up. Is that the intro?
That's the old intro.
Original intro.
Yeah. It's just the Rise Above music video. That used to be the intro to the show.
How did that turn green?
I don't know. It does that sometimes. That's the ghost of the studio. No one told that green light to come on.
Don't forget, guys, if you want to learn how to make new organic media, just get in contact with Rise Above.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, guys, I'm just going to put a link on the screen. I always say to everyone, Rise Above is free. You don't have to pay to watch Rise Above live, but it does actually cost us money to produce this show with all of the software. Just Restream alone is like $1,000 a year to be able to use this broadcasting software. This is how we are supported by people subscribing for $3 a month, £3 a month, and you get loads of other benefits like 10% off merch, 33% off any of the RAcademy Learning Portal stuff. You get discounts on event tickets, and basically you get exclusive content that we can only upload to here because some of the conversations.
And you get some special stuff at events as well.
Yeah.
Something that we do for you guys.
And apart from that, it's a great way to support us. So thank you very much.
And just do it. Just give us your money anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need it since we sacked off the WEF's puppets.
Oh yeah, we had to get rid of Roots Brands
Yeah.
products from our support list because basically she went to Davos and got on her knees for Klaus Schwab.
What's going on here, Lance?
This is a photo of myself and Andy PG tearing up the dance tent at Sounds Beautiful Festival. I'm just telling you guys what we've been up to in the last couple of weeks because we've got Matt Landman on in just a moment. Now, this is quite a famous content creator, Mr. Martin Leakey, Flat Earth British. We bumped into him. Quite funny.
First, if he was the first person.
He was the first person. Actually, he bumped into us. He's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Came over to us, started chatting, and I said, "Oh, we've got some mutual friends." I said about Jason. He's like, "Oh, yeah." So I talk about Jason Archaic, and I mentioned the word Rise Above. He goes, "Oh yeah, Rise Above is brilliant. I well want to go on that show." And I was like, "It's us." He's like, "What? You guys are Rise Above?" And then we had a great conversation. So, long story short, I am going to have Martin on the show soon. I forgot to get his email.
I've got his phone number.
Have you got his
I've
phone
got his
number?
phone
Oh,
number.
sweet. Okay, it's all good then. So yeah, big shout to Martin Leakey from Flat Earth British. We are going to chat to him.
Great to meet you, Martin, mate.
Oh yeah. And here's another thing that happened in the last few weeks. Massive congratulations to Richard and Amelia. And I did ask their permission before showing this photo of their wedding. And yes, you've got it right. As you can see there, they got married in a beautiful woodland setting.
It was really nice.
And who's that handsome devil that was marrying them?
The rabbi that who's marrying him is none other than Lance Double LMC.
Yeah, that's right. It was my first ever gig as being a wedding celebrant. And I must say,
what it's called? A wedding
celebrant.
Celebrant.
Yes. I must say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And if anyone in the Ramish community is thinking about tying the knot and they don't want a dodgy vicar doing it, guys, you know who to call. I'm available for bookings. That's serious, by the way. If anybody does want to book me to do their
just
wedding,
contact Rise Above.
Yeah,
Let me tell you, unbelievable.
Okay. What else has happened? I need to get that one back. Let's put that one there. This new studio is well confusing. Right, so we got an email about a month ago now, from Justin from the Wine and Wallop bar. It's a chain of bars in Manchester. Basically, he watches the show, he likes the show, and they have their own house brew that he wanted to call Peasant Juice, partially inspired by
Ramish mead.
Ramish mead called Peasant Juice. Long story short, he had a competition to design the logo for this peasant juice beer. It's like the house
which is
beer.
going to go on the beer mats and the pumps.
So we had some entries on the left.
Get rid of the overlay.
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me just get rid of that so you can actually see what's going on here.
Something's dodgy is going on. Mine it won't get the chat up.
Will it not?
No. Look,
okay, so on the left, this is an entry from Russ Kieran with Peasant Juice with Boris on there. Very nice. On the right, Johnny Fogg whipped up this one. It's got some Rise Above imagery in the background. But I'm afraid to say there was a very clear winner. There was a very clear winner. And it's none other than Becky S, who's she's actually in the studio right now.
Of course she was going to win, let's be honest.
This is hand-drawn by Becky S, right? This Peasant Juice logo. And as you can see on the right here, it's already been made into the light-up beer pump sign. So big shout out to Justin and Wine and Wallop bars in Manchester. If you want to support them, you support Rise Above by default. We've literally got our own beer there. It's called Peasant Juice.
So what we've got here, Becky, do you want to explain exactly what's happening here?
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It's a peasant being juiced.
A peasant is being squeezed out.
Squeezed for his juice, and it's going straight into the yeah. Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Excellent work from Becky. Yes.
A few chemtrails in the background as well.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. I like that. Very good. Okay, right. So that's our any other business out of the way. Right. The subject this week is the lines in the sky, aka
nice segue, Mrs.
Nice segue, yeah. aka chemtrails. Now, our guest Matt Landman, who's in the green room right now. He made a film, I think it's 7 years ago now, so maybe a little bit ahead of his time, called Frankenskies, and it's sort of in our world, in our sphere of understanding, this guy is sort of like the go-to guy that's really got to the bottom of this, has got the receipts. So we're very interested to talk to him for the next hour or so.
It's pure coincidence, guys. In the holographic construct we live in, that his name is Landman, and we're talking about air and skies. So it's not one of those like BBC things where Yeah, they've
I've
got
got a really good
stupid
one
name.
of those tonight.
I've
Anyway.
got a great one.
Right,
It might be the same.
Right, so tonight we are getting to the bottom of the lines in the sky, and let's have our guest on right now, and let me get the screen sorted out. Matt, welcome. How you doing, mate?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, welcome to Rise
Great
Above.
to have you here, Matt.
Cheers.
We only have two words which are forbidden on the show. One starts with C, and it sounds like Hovid, and the other one starts with V, and it sounds like vaccine. But just in case you were going to mention those two tonight, those are hot topics that we've got to be careful of. So we always do the same disclaimer with everyone that comes on the show. But we're not going to be talking about that kind of stuff, just in case it does get mentioned.
It always circles back, though.
This is why we mentioned it. Right, let me get rid of that one. Yeah, so I'm just sorting these screens out so it looks pretty. We like to have everything very visual here. So, mate, Frankenskies, this movie that you made, maybe you want to start by telling us a bit of the background story about how you went down this particular rabbit hole, why this subject grabbed your attention, and and what transpired. Basically.
Well, I'd say multiple people have gone down the rabbit hole, but Matt's taken it a bit further.
Yeah,
he's gone. Yeah,
got to the bottom.
Specialized rabbit.
Yeah, take it away.
Yeah, for sure. And feel free to cut me short because I tend to ramble on when I'm given the mic. So
that's fine. We entertain tangents here on Rise Above.
And I love it. And yeah, I'm pretty good with this, with the censorship and the words and not using the specific words. Sadly, I've been socially engineered. I get to pick and choose what I put out there because I too have lost, platforms and all that sort of stuff. So it's a weird world we live in. My story is I grew up a pretty normal dude. Like I wasn't conspiracy driven. I wasn't, my parents were not activists. People hit me up all the time. Your parents must have been activists, Matt. Nope, my parents were not. My dad was a pilot though, which was interesting.
Okay.
And he died. He had a heart attack and died when I was like 27. And I put a plane spraying chemtrails on his tombstone in stone before I knew about chemtrails. So that's another story. So, anyways, I've worn a lot of different hats. I've walked a lot of different lives. I was obsessed with the stock market for some time, and I worked in restaurants and real estate, and went to university a couple times and got a master's degree in business, worked in farms, and I've done a lot of different things. And in this particular instance, during my journey, I got out of grad school and I was working in an office, and it was a nightmare again, you know what I mean? Like the slave 9 to 5. And I got offered a like 90% pay cut to come work on an organic farm in Northern California, which I took it because I wanted to learn something different and be outside. And I on this farm where I learned so much. I mean, I got grounded. My last name's Landman. I never worked with any dirt. You know what I mean? It's crazy that I had not, but I literally on the farm got grounded, connected with myself and the earth and the elements and the sky. You know what I mean? I started looking up because I was so connected to everything. I had to be because I was farming. So it's like we're in the middle of a big drought. It's like, okay, we want rain and all that sort of stuff. So in that situation, I was working on this farm for a year, getting in really good shape and, connected to the elements, like I said. And we were in the midst of a 5-year drought in Northern California. Where I lived, we usually got like a seasonal rain. It's not like where you live where it just rains all the time. It's like in Northern California, it rains from like October to March, and then it doesn't. It's just the seasonal rain that comes into the Pacific Northwest. And we hadn't gotten that seasonal deluge for like 5 years. So we're in this big drought, and this big storm was coming to the farm that I was working on. And I was called in overtime with my rain boots to come in and harvest all these pumpkins out of the field before they would rot in this big storm system that was supposed to come. And I witnessed firsthand weather modification where all these planes showed up and they grid the sky with these persistent linear cirrus cloud formation, these lines coming out the back of the jets. And what happened was this big black storm coming off the ocean. It was supposed to rain. It was forecast 100% chance of rain for a week. It came overhead and no rain fell out, right? And so I had this kind of memory, which I didn't know what I was witnessing at the time. Like I thought I knew so much, which I didn't. You know what I mean? You think you know everything, really, but then you go down your 100th rabbit hole and you realize you don't know anything at all. At this stage in the game, I thought I knew so much because I'd, gotten out of university a few times, and I knew about 9/11 truth. and the people around me didn't. I was in the college atmosphere and people didn't. So I was actually venting. I was on some rant on a friend back home on the East Coast. I was living in California. I was venting to a buddy back in DC on the West Coast near where I grew up. And I was like, yo, dude, these kids nowadays, they don't know anything. They don't even know anything about 9/11. I'm like amongst these people. This was like 2014 or something. I was like, I'm amongst these kids, but they're brainwashed. And he's like, yeah, I cut them some slack. Half of those kids probably weren't even born when 9/11 happened. You know what I mean? Like, you're getting old, Matt. And not everyone like grew up with it, right? Because I was like living in DC when it happened. My girlfriend was in New York. I was like in it. And so I was driven to dig and understand what happened, which, the official narrative is complete bollocks. So, and I'm glad I get to use that word on the show. So
do you not use that word usually?
No.
Oh, Matt, have you got your speakers turned on still?
Is there feedback?
I can hear.
It's a tiny bit of echo.
Yeah, I don't think you need your. Can you hear your speakers?
No, there's no speakers.
Okay.
No.
I heard a little bit of echo then. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe it'll deal with it. Yeah, it sounds okay now. All right, don't worry about it.
Okay. So, I'm in my warehouse at work, so maybe there's a little echo in here. So what happened was a friend that I grew up with was like, yeah, well, they don't know about 9/11, but what about chemtrails? That's in everyone's face, right? And I didn't know the word at all. So this is the power of someone planting a seed, right? And people think your voice is not impactful and there's nothing that can be done. It's like, well, your voice is very powerful, and not only can you plant these seeds, but you can wake up your friends, family, and peers and doing it in the right way, honoring the truth with integrity, meeting people where they're at, and all this sort of stuff. So my good friend growing up, he says to me the word chemtrails. That's all it really took. And so then I went and looked it up. And the rest is really history. I started really digging. I found some stuff. And then I found that the activism in the space really wasn't doing it due justice. And then when I tried to share it with people, they were basically said I was crazy. Nobody had any grounded perspective of what chemtrails or weather modification or geoengineering or any of it, what it really was. So then that was like 2014, 15, slowly but surely, I started to become a chemtrail activist. And then I wanted to make a movie because there wasn't a good movie out there that I felt comfortable sharing.
Matt, can I just cut in there? So
yeah, do.
Can you just what does that entail, being a chemtrail activist? Not just posting on Facebook or you've taken that a bit further. Obviously, you've made a documentary. What other stuff have you done?
Well, the first thing that I did was start walking around with flyers.
Okay.
And having some sort of resource. So I made a website, Actual Activists, which we could pull that up. That's a great resource to show people.
I'll get it.
Actual activists, plural.com. That was my first little project, and that was my baby. And what it was is I couldn't find a one-stop shop for truth. Like, maybe I could find a website on fluoride. Maybe I could find a website on GMO, but there wasn't something that was all encompassing. And then these different people were telling me to, stay in my lane and stick to one subject. And if I was going to, work with chemtrails and become an activist in that space, then only speak on just that. And I was like, actually, truth is a frequency. You know what I mean? And that frequency.
Why do you have to limit yourself?
Yeah, exactly. So I started not trusting these people that were trying to give me advice on that. And so becoming the chemtrail activist, I started handing out flyers, and then I started hosting conferences, and the conferences were really huge. I hosted the first global chemtrail summit in Vancouver, Canada in 2016. And then 2017, I hosted a second annual global chemtrail summit in Portland, Oregon. The third, and these are big conferences where I'm having all the activists in the space that I could find. I got them all together in one place. It's like herding cats, though. A lot of them ended up being like, whatever. Some people ended up later on down the line not trusting, but that's just the name of the game. You know what I mean? Like, you get your feet wet and your hands dirty, and there's going to be some people in that space that want to, disinform and whatever, but that's just that's it. It's like, I would never discourage people from becoming active or activists, because that's like doing God's work, and it's like very uplifting. There's going to be a little bit of roadblocks, whatever. But then in 2017, right? 2018, I had another global conference in Tucson, Arizona, in the desert. And this was like a big showdown because Bill Gates was looking to do a public experiment. So it had hit the mainstream that Bill Gates was going to do an experiment dimming the sun over the desert in the city in southwest desert of the United States called Tucson, Arizona, near the Mexican border of Mexico. And this was the first time that an experiment like this was to happen. And through his little minion, David Keith, out of Harvard University, this professor from Canada, basically, they were going to spray different particulate-sized nanoparticulate aluminum, as you all say it, or aluminum. Anybody over here? I'm getting good at those two. Those are total tongue twisters. Aluminum.
That's cool. We know what you mean. You can say aluminum.
Yeah.
Simulation,
No,
simulacrum.
I'm getting good. Oh, really? Is that a word? Okay.
Well, no, because we deal with like simulation theories, people coming on the show, and the word simulacrum or simulacrum. We have this guy.
Simulacrum is the actual correct pronunciation.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the way that Jason says simulacrum is the same way that American people say aluminum.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Simulacrum.
It's the same colloquial way to pronounce it. Yeah.
I see. How's my feedback? Is there echo?
No, it seems to have sorted it out. It's
Okay, good.
yeah. I
Perfect.
put echo cancellation on.
Shout out to Sheep Farm. I can see them in the chat.
Oh yeah, hello to
Yeah,
everyone in
what's
the
up,
chat.
Sheep Farm? Hey, I love those guys. I've been
215 peasants tuned
Well,
in.
we actually have to thank Sheep Farm for putting us guys in contact, right?
Is that how that happened? Beautiful.
Yes.
I love Dom and Chris. I've been on their show a bunch. I look forward to continue to do so. There's some great podcasts over in the UK, and I love them, and they're great. So, in to answer what it is to be an activist, it's a lot. I've been on like 700 podcasts and radio shows, but doing things in the real world is what's the most important. So at first I started making these Facebook groups, and I literally put on the group, I don't want to see the pictures of your chemtrails. I want to see what you're doing in the real world. You know what I mean? Because like anybody can take a photo, but if that's all they're doing, it's not enough. You know,
I think that is the main question everyone wants to know is how do we stop this? How do we physically stop this from happening?
Well, I have the answer. I have that answer to that question, and that's a great question. Any question that you can come up with.
I've contemplated this.
Yeah.
I've thought without.
If you don't mind me saying, that's a more advanced question for a lot of the other questions we might want to ask leading up to that.
Should we leave that?
Yeah. Leave that one. Put it on the back
No,
burner.
I can answer it. No, I've got a great answer for that one. I've given it a lot of thought, and I have an answer to any question you can come up with.
I'll just tell you my thoughts on it very quickly, Matt. So I thought the thing is the pilots that are doing it. So if you get to the pilots, okay, you're going to get thrown in jail because they're at airports and stuff like that. So short of sending hundreds or thousands of people up to protest at airports where they know they're doing this, which isn't going to happen because no one's got any fucking time. Or the other thing to do is petition the government, but we don't believe in begging slave masters, so no one's going to do that here really. So I don't think there's anything you can physically do without getting thrown in jail. It would seem.
Yeah, true. So real quick, we stopped Bill Gates. It was a big deal. We had a protest for Mother Earth on Mother's Day. We had a concert. We had a conference, packed the house in this conference hall at University of Arizona, Heart of the Beast, where they have a geoengineering master's program. And it was a big zoo. It was a total shit show, really. I got arrested at my conference. There was this big agent provocateur that came and made a big scene. It was a whole thing. But the environmentalist groups in Southern Arizona found out, and a lot of people rallied even after our protest and concert and everything. Not everybody even realized that the chemtrails were ongoing, but they did protest having that experiment. And so they didn't do this public experiment of dimming the sun and saying, you're welcome, we have the solution to global warming. And that was like a big deal in the activism space. It wasn't just handing out posters and DVDs and flyers. It's like really rallying people together and bringing people together that are all under the same truth umbrella and realizing they're not alone and all that sort of stuff is very powerful. And that's like one of the biggest things they don't want. They want people not coming together in person. What can be done? The answer to that question is there was a time when we didn't know about Monsanto or GMO foods. Those words did not exist in our vocabulary, even in our lifetime, right? But activists, they got involved. They had March Against Monsanto in hundreds of cities simultaneously for a near decade. Every city, every major city, every May, right, across the board, simultaneous protests, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, okay? And now, after all these activists got involved and a lot of them like risked their lives, you know. And Monsanto had to now hide their name; they don't even exist anymore. Bayer bought them, and they're hiding under a new brand because those activists got involved and were persistent, boots on the ground for over a decade. Now, at least in the States, we have GMO foods are labeled at the grocery store. We have organic, we have choice, right?
I guess they kind of, at least they managed to make GMO a dirty word, right?
Yeah, exactly. And because they pushed it in the consciousness, it's in the vernacular, and like most people know what it means. I mean, it's not as predominant as chemtrails yet, right? People will go down certain rabbit holes, and they'll talk. Maybe they get the fluoride-free toothpaste. Maybe they don't do the fluoride, and maybe they don't do the GMO food. But then you talk to them about chemtrails, and they're like, "Oh, you're one of those." You know what I mean? It's because the consciousness isn't.
I suppose
yet.
you think the Earth's flat as well.
Right.
That's what you
Are you
get.
talking to me?
No, but that's what you get if you mention chemtrails or something like that. They say, "Oh, are you a
I like
flat
that. Are you talking to me? Do you think
Are you a flat earther as well?
No,
Are you an anti-vaxxer?"
tinfoil
Right.
hat? Yeah, but I take that as a compliment now. I think
It's
when
all
someone says
bundled
tinfoil hat-
together, right? You're bundled together, and
Yeah.
And of course NASA completely lies. And people want to ask who's doing the spraying. A lot of it's NASA with a budget of like $90 million per day. They have a full-on.
This is the thing I thought of, Matt. Even if we educated the pilots and they said, "Okay, right, we're not going to do it," there's always going to be someone. All they do, the government will just pay a huge amount of money to pilots that will do it, and there'll be no shortage of people to do it.
Well, there's drones.
If they really want to do it, they're going to do it. It would seem.
Yeah.
Are we assuming that pilots that are doing this are cognitive about what it is?
Some of them must be, man. Some of them must be. Some of them probably think that. Well, they're probably under state mind control and think they're doing good for the climate.
Again, I think we're jumping ahead, right? Because I think if we're gonna tackle this subject properly and dissect it correctly, I think we need to be a little bit more methodical, right? Matt's just given us a lot of his credentials. He's been into this for a while, activist, making conferences. But let's actually talk about what is going on. Okay, we've all noticed. Everyone that's watching this has noticed these lines in the sky. Let's start talking about a timeline. And from your findings, Matt, when did this actually start becoming an actual phenomenon? Are we talking 10, 20 years ago, or has this been going on for a lot longer than we think?
So that's a great question. Frankenskies, for anybody who hasn't seen it. And you can watch it in pieces. You watch the first 10, 15 minutes and realize what you're sinking your teeth into. It's an 80-minute long documentary. I know in this Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok world, people only have the attention span of like a goldfish. But watch it in like increments, please. Frankenskies, it's for free everywhere. Also, you could buy yourself a DVD or if you want, or download it or whatever you want to do. But it's there, frankenskies.com, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, you name it. So please watch it. It starts off in 1920s. So in the 1920s, the military-industrial complex started sharpening their tools in weather modification. By the time they got to the 60s in Vietnam, they were able to flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail and make weather as a war weapon. The United Nations had to come together and vote on it then and say, hey, we can't do weather warfare or it's going to impact neighboring countries and all this sort of stuff. But you can experiment on your own people is how the laws got passed and how it still is ongoing because it's continuously like us doing it to ourselves. You know what I mean? It's not like, planes from Saudi Arabia are coming over here or Iraq or whatever and doing it. We're doing it to ourselves, for one. So they've been sharpening their tools for some time. Now, did we win World War II? And that's another word that I like to make sure I don't say because I get like super censored if I say the German dude who was like in charge of the war in World War II. There's certain words that I don't say, right? So that war seems like we didn't really win. Operation Paperclip, MK Ultra, and all that sort of stuff. So if you ask me when it began, I would say really it started off when we didn't really win that war, and then the slow game began, right? But the real answer is like 1990s when the lines in the sky really started showing up. Like people started questioning how come in my 1980s family photos there's no lines in the sky. And then there's like a little education there because there's the engines on the planes in the 1960s and before the engines were a lot less efficient. and they were blasting a lot of heat. Come 1960s, we got General Electric and Rolls-Royce, and they started outfitting these engines, and they became these high bypass turbofan jet engines. They started learning how to not produce any contrails in the 60s. And I've got footage that's going into Frankenskies 2. That's the military industrial complex literally learning in the 1960s how to not make contrails at all on the engines. It's like if you've got a propeller on the wing that's making lift over the wing with a propeller, it's spinning, making lift, there's no heat. That's what these efficient engines are doing now. They're not cranking out all the heat that we're told to make these persistent, contrails that we're told that they are, right?
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, contrails is the number one go-to, or historically has been the number one go-to debunk method for when anyone talks about the lingering crisscross lines in the sky. They say that they're contrails from regular commercial airplane flight paths, right? That this is the official line. Now, let me just say one thing. One thing that I always found strange about that argument was that when you see the clear sort of like noughts and crosses, crisscross patterns across the residential areas, which, like you're saying now, have become well known since the 90s, to try and pretend if they are contrails, if you just took that for granted that they are contrails, to try and pretend or assume that those are the flight paths is particularly silly. Because if you look at so every residential area that's seeing it is a direct flight path that has has intersecting flight paths from airports, however far away. That it doesn't work like that. We don't have commercial airplanes crisscrossing over every residential area that's seeing it. So that was always my sort of observation when people were coming with you stupid conspiracy theorists, you don't understand how aviation emissions and different atmospheric conditions can interact to create contrails. That was always the go-to, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. And on that same note, there's an irregular uptick. There's an irregular pattern of appearance. There'll be an uptick of planes in the sky when they're up to no good, or when there's a storm system coming in, or whatever they're up to in that instance. So suppose there's a clear blue sky and you go outside and there's nothing going on. You can sit outside and see 2 planes the whole day, right? Then the next day, all these planes show up and they're gridding the sky and zigzagging back and forth. It's like when they are spraying, there's also a whole bunch more planes. It's statistically irregular, and it's an anomaly, right? I used to point out the lines of the sky to everybody, but then I started to change my pitch, right? Whenever there's a blue sky with white fluffy clouds, I'll bring that to people's attention, because they're actually few and far between and irregular. But on those days, there's not air traffic, right? So bringing the attention to people, oh, look at this day with no air traffic at all. It's interesting because yesterday there was 20 X's in the sky going every which way, and you'll see the planes in each other's wake. That's also another thing, like things that commercial aircraft would not be doing. You've got planes flying side by side in the same airspace, one spraying like a short trail, one spraying a long trail, mixing chemicals in the atmosphere, one spraying a long persistent line, one's doing nothing because they're out of sprays. There's a lot of like footage that people put up on social media and whatnot. It's actually proof, but people don't want to take, like most anybody would much rather take authority as their truth rather than truth as their authority, because they trust the media blindly, and they don't want to think that, there's some conspiracy. I mean, all of it, you name it. It's not just chemtrails. It's like every single truth. You can Google it and find some lie that'll comfort you instead of realizing, what's really going on in your world, which, people don't want to grasp or deal with something so vast, like we're being sprayed with toxins and we need to become activists and protect our family and detox. And, I'm going to get Alzheimer's. The number one cause of death in the UK is Alzheimer's dementia now, which comes from aluminum toxicity in the brain. Number one.
Yeah. My uncle is suffering from that at the moment, and it's awful. It's an awful disease. Now, while we're on the subject of timelines, you've basically put it to us like this: that under the broader umbrella, we should use the umbrella terminology, weather modification started seriously in the West, because obviously we're talking Anglospheric, i.e. Canada, America, UK, in the 1920s. You've also said that the lines in the sky particularly started becoming very noticeable in the 90s. And that's really what I wanted to get out of you, because I agree with that. One thing which I found really interesting, and I don't know if you know about this, when lockdown happened in 2020, we had, and it's just so funny that you said in your intro, unlike in your country where it rains all the time, we have it very seasonal rain here, because it does rain here all the time. In 2020, when lockdown was announced in, I think it was March 22nd, we had this like 5 or 6 week period of hot weather for March with blue skies every day. It was unprecedented. We're lucky to have weather like this in July in the UK.
It was the summer from when we were kids.
Yeah, it
it
was
is.
like the summer from when we were kids, and there were no lines in the sky. And where I'm going with this, I think it was 21 or 2022, where my parents, who are now in their early 70s, they seem a lot younger, but they're quite old now. They looked up one day, and I said, "Look at all those lines in the sky. Do you remember those?" And they said, "What are those?" It was like the first time they'd ever seen them. And it was one of those days where it was an absolute patchwork quilt up there. It was just pure lines everywhere. And I said, "Did you remember anything like this from your childhood, Mum and Dad? Like, we've never seen anything like this before." So how long has this been going on? I was like, "Mum and Dad, this has been going on since the 90s." They're like, "Are you joking?" I said, you can see it in movies and everything. Well, now they've noticed it, and they've been saying, oh yeah, look, all those lines in the sky. Now, our nice morning is now turned into a grey afternoon. So I always like to start with a little bit of chronology, and I think is that your observation as well, that this is something from the last.
I've researched chemtrails, not anywhere in depth as our man Matt has here, but since about 2010. That's when I started noticing like a lot around 2008, and then I actually looked into it about 2010, because I like to grow my own fruit and vegetables. It's one of my like therapeutic things I like to do when I have time, and it alkalines the soil. What they're doing is alkalining the soil. So this is like a direct attack on Mother Nature in multiple different ways.
Oh, here's what I want to ask Matt. Matt, do you think they've got worse since the Soviet Union period of the last few years? Like, i.e., after 2020, have you seen an increase in the patchwork quilt in the sky compared to before?
Definitely, yeah. I liked what you said about during the lockdowns, how it was back to our skies of our childhood. That's really layered. So they stopped spraying, and I think a lot of the spraying is drone operated. So it's like, it makes sense. Like, oh, they were locked down too, so they didn't do the spraying. I think it's a little bit more sinister. So what happened was, and don't let me not answer your question. Sorry, but I'll just regress for a second.
That's fine. Take your time.
So what happens is the chemtrails, the geoengineering, the spraying of aluminum, and I want to talk about the alkalinity of the soil too. Don't let me forget. They spray and blanket the skies with metals, and then it influences the UV, and we end up with a different type of UV for one. And they'll actually spray and blanket the skies and trap in heat and make heat waves, right? So they're making different systems over there. They might blanket it so much that you don't get any heat and it's just dreary. I've witnessed heat waves being made, and then the front page says global warming, we got to do something about this. Classic Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution, where the problem is making the heat waves with chemtrails. The reaction is fear. The solution is we can geoengineer our way out of this, which is spray chemtrails in the sky to block the sun, to dim the sun, to save you from the heating planet. People that don't see the writing on the wall, they're just like, oh wow, a new solution to this, horrible carbon problem that we have. They're guilt tripping themselves for driving their cars and exhaling every couple seconds, right? Because we exhale carbon. Okay, so they're making severe weather, they're making heat waves and doing all these things that they do. And then during the lockdowns, they stop spraying. Yeah. And so the truthers, us, we're like, oh, this is amazing. I wish we weren't told to be stuck inside all day because this is, you know, beautiful blue skies. Let's get out there. But that's like a small percentage of the world. Another percentage of the world was like, oh, look, there's not the air traffic from people traveling, right? And they claimed that
The world's a
people being-
cleaner place. Yeah.
people
I
being
know. I
locked
see.
in their
Yeah.
homes
Yeah.
Or like the
makes
rivers
it-
in Venice and all
makes
the rest of it was all
makes the
clean.
world a better place. So it's like rewilding the world. Like, oh, in that little short instance where we had those lockdowns, the world was better, the weather was better, there weren't these heat waves, you know, caused by human interaction, whatever. And I think that that's kind of setting us up for agreeing to these climate lockdowns that could be on the horizon or whatever. It just seems kind of fishy. I was thankful for it at the time. But also it was just a little weird that it played into their whole narrative of climate lockdowns and
Yeah,
all
because
that, you know?
Becky S just pointed out, because that's when I really noticed it during the lockdowns, when they said about Venice's water system, waterways being nice and clean for the first time in.
And wasn't that there was a picture that they showed on This Morning? Of,
Yeah, that's right.
Was it the
Yeah.
Himalayas or something?
Yeah.
And they said before and after, but the same two guys were sitting on a wall in the front. It had just been photoshopped, and they
Oh, I saw that.
Do you
yeah.
remember?
Do you
Yes,
remember?
it
They
was a-
apologized in about 10 seconds. They were like,
blatant
"Oh, sorry about
Photoshop
this
photo, yeah.
picture that we showed the other day." Anyway, and then just moved on from it. But they made a big fuss of the fact that there was no pollution, so you could see the mountains in this picture, and it was just the same photograph that had been photoshopped. The same two guys were sitting on a wall in the front.
in one of our very early shows when we first started broadcasting in late 2020, I'm pretty sure we showed a headline which basically said exactly what you're saying, Matt. Look how great lockdowns have been for the environment. Imagine what a climate lockdown could achieve.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Like
Right.
an actual tailored lockdown, especially to reduce
I remember
our carbon.
that show. We were calling it years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And like subconsciously though, it's like people that don't even know about the chemtrails. It's like they spray your weather shite, they spray your weather shite, they spray you're depressed, your weather shite. Now they stop spraying and everything feels perfect. And the headline says it's because the people are locked inside. It's like, oh, well, that makes sense. It's like, no, they're really manipulating you there. And the what they spray, so it ends up coming to that. You'll end up asking the question, well, what is in the sprays, right? People do rainwater analysis when there's heavy sprays. There's patents that match it all. There's a lot of research and science that goes into, you know, the what is being sprayed. Once we've dug, and there's so much like evidence to corroborate this. This isn't just like theory. The primary constituents are aluminum, barium, and strontium. The aluminum oxide and the barium salts are patented fire accelerants. So we've got fire accelerants, things that make fires go crazy, being sprayed on our forests. Then we've got these fires that are erupting, and then the powers that be are like, oh, global warming, we got to do something about this. We got geoengineering for you, another problem, reaction, solution scenario.
Can I just
So-
pause you there? Did you say
Yeah.
aluminium and barium?
Barium.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, the symbols or the letters for those on the periodic table, yeah, spell Baal, B-A-A-L.
B-A-N-A-L. Unreal.
Yeah. You've seen the meme, right? It's true.
Mhm.
We always have a bit of a running joke on this show that when someone produces one of these memes that shows something like that, that's a cult connection, or there's 666 days between this and that, we don't even bother to fact check them anymore because they're always true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
true.
that was a good example of it. Yeah, I'm glad you saw that one, mate. Yeah.
And so other constituents have been identified: lithium, cadmium, manganese. Manganese makes people like violent, and come to find out, mad cow disease is most likely just manganese being sprayed with chemtrails. And so there's, you know, all these different things, but the primaries: aluminum, barium, strontium. And so aluminium, when it gets in the soil, it totally messes up the soil. It's actually, aluminum is very much like a trace mineral in nature. It's very, very trace. It's like only teeny bits of it are found naturally. So to make aluminium, there's like this huge process of digging up this one dirt and boiling and cooking. It's like goes through 30 freaking processes where actually fluoride melts off of it and is a toxic byproduct of the aluminum industry. And that's why they want to get the two things back in your body, because they wreak havoc on your brain together. So it's like separating them through industry and then getting these nano particulate aluminum and fluoride back in us, and then getting them to bond in our brain with EMF and glyphosate to break down the blood-brain barrier to get these things bonded. It's all this big attack on the pineal gland. It's like all like full spectrum warfare if you really think about it. But the aluminum in the soil, it makes it alkaline, and it disrupts those healthy soil bacteria. And then when it gets in the trees' roots and the plants' roots, even if they are hydrated with water, they can't uptake water properly because they get dehydrated from the inside out. The aluminum disrupts their ability to uptake water and minerals, and then it weakens their system. And then you've got like these tree die-offs, and it's like they say, oh, it's from this one beetle or something. No, it's because their immune systems are so wrecked that now the beetle can take over. You know what I mean? So we've got trees dying here, different species of trees, Douglas firs and ponderosa pines. Like
we've got a real problem with ash trees here in the UK. Like the experts say that there'll be no ash trees left within the next 5 years in the UK.
Yeah, but why?
There's a disease called ash dieback, and nobody really knows what causes it.
Yeah, probably exactly. We do know why. It's the aluminum in the soil. It's disrupting their systems, you know. And so people have had to take it into their own hands. So there was like a group in Arizona and the Southwest United States desert in Kingman, Arizona, 30 farmers and different people. They started testing their soil and their hair and the air and the water and cross-referencing that with the patents. And they're finding like statistically, like exponentially way too high in any rainwater should there be aluminum, barium, strontium coming down after the lines are in the sky. And they kept testing it and kept getting the same results. But where do you go from there, right? It's like the senators, the state, the MP, the politicians, they're not listening, right? It's not being admitted to the point that the politicians can even do anything about it. So it really takes, like, we're at this point right now where it's so important to play your part and use your voice.
I'll just cut in here. I'm going to cut in here.
Please.
So we've just been talking about a timeline, right? So I think it mainly came out into the peasant sphere because of Dubai.
That's what I said.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's talking about the change.
Yeah,
the
when
change in consensus.
it was in the mainstream media because they said they did too much, basically.
Stop
They had
jumping
to
ahead.
admit
Oh,
it.
sorry, man. This was,
All right, yeah. So, do you know what? I've just got a list here, and this is what I like to do in an investigation: what, why, where, when, how, and who. So far, right, we've covered a timeline now, so I can cross off when. Right now, we're actually discussing what is inside it. And I'm sorry to stop you, but I want to do this properly. So right now, we're on the what: aluminium, barium, magnesium. I'd like to do these little recaps. This reminds me of like when you got to secondary school and you went into the chemistry lesson the first time you went into one of those big labs and they had the dangerous chemicals that, you know, you had to speak to that lab and you had to sign it to do the experiments. You know, those kind of things when you add just water to them and they fucking explode.
Mhm.
Like magnesium.
it's dangerous, man.
These are not inert substances. These are like quite a lot of these are highly reactive chemicals.
Well, Matt says your fire accelerants going all over the forests.
And manganese, especially. Manganese is the one that makes you angry. And also they're finding high levels of lead. It really depends on where you're at. But the ones that match, or what's crazy, what I mean by it depends on where you're at, is in the middle of nowhere in Canada, these groups are testing their rainwater and finding terbium, which is a very expensive and very rare earth element that's used in 3D projection screens.
Shit.
So it's like, okay, in certain places it seems like that they're experimenting, which is like, it's going to be pasture where I win when we get into like using the sky as a projector and Project Bluebeam and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And just in case we don't get back to the Dubai thing, I just want to say it seems so whenever the mainstream media runs through everything and then all the people, you know, the normies are like, oh, weather modification is real. It's planned, right? So it seems like on their timeline, that they're going to normalize it and start to be like, whoa, we can geoengineer your skies. We can actually make it rain over there. Maybe you're welcome. So they need to bring it back into the consciousness. Whereas they made it flood in Vietnam. It was I've got newspaper clippings from the 1970s where it was like common knowledge where farmers were seeding the clouds, making it rain over their farms, not with just rain, but they were literally using the minerals that their farm would need. So maybe your soil needs nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, okay? Then the farmers were seeding the clouds with potassium, having it rain the minerals on their crops. So it's like so common knowledge that governments were interfering and making hail smaller in Canada and all this sort of stuff. But then come like the late 70s and 80s, the information kind of got hush and swept under the rug because it seems like the powers that be were like, whoa, we can't let that be common knowledge. We want to control this information and let it leak out the way that we see fit, which is, oh, Dubai can do it, so should we. So, you know, there's going to be more to that picture as it continues. Oh, and lastly, I know this is, sorry, there's all this talk of solar flares and how that nonsense is going to knock things out and we're not going to be able to use the internet or whatever. This is another problem reaction solution where I bet the best solution for solar flares is going to be geoengineering, chemtrails, blocking the sun's crazy.
I thought that was the whole idea. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. I thought that was the whole idea.
I tried to make it structured.
As far as I knew, it was Bill Gates' idea to block out the sun. That's as far as
we've been peasant engineered with Bill Gates and people like him talking about that stuff for years.
Yeah,
we're gonna inject metals into the sky to block out the sun.
Well, I'm not saying it's his idea, but he's the one that's been quite outspoken about doing it and using this method to block out the sun a bit.
Yes.
Right, back to my structure.
Sorry, Lance.
Okay.
Thank
you. We've done the when. I think we've now covered what's inside.
Hey, this is just proof that our show is organic. Like we don't even like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know,
we've
got an esteemed expert here. I need to get the best out of this guy. So we've covered the what, like what is actually inside, what is being sprayed into the sky. Next, what about where? Let's talk about geographically, because a lot of people that are posting about this on social media, and I like to conglomerate everything that I see on social media and try and present it on the show, because I think it's actually a good way of checking where the public consensus is. And we've noticed this. I go on holiday to countries that are, say, not Western, or countries that are outside of the yoke of, you know, the West,
the Commonwealth,
and we don't see the lines in the sky. So what is your opinion on this as to where this is happening and where is it being concentrated?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the reason why it's important to go over the who, what, why, where, when, how is because as activists, it's important for us to keep spreading that light and to plant the seed of truth with our friends, families, and peers. And they're going to come to us with those questions. And if we don't know the who, what, why, where, when, how, then we're just these nutter conspiracy tinfoil hatters. But if we can educate them, then they can carry it forward and educate other people. I just spoke with a close friend who has contacts in Bulgaria. And she's like, they don't seem to spray there, Matt. And I'm like, dang, because they spray over my head every day. I think I'm in like an experimental zone. So where do they spray the most? UK, Germany, Canada, United States, like Western countries, right? Where do they not spray as much? Less developed, less white countries, but then there's still like Bulgaria and like you know, like Eastern Europe and stuff like that.
It's like EU countries and Commonwealth countries, basically.
Yeah. We do it a lot more. There was talk that Mexico banned it. Mexico didn't ban it. They just never did spray that much, but they do still do it. You know, Central America and whatnot, it's not as much.
There's none at all. There's none at all in Russia. Becky S just so we saw a map on.
There's a geoengineering map thing that I found where it's got like all of the official experiments or projects or whichever. It doesn't go into detail about what each one is, but it shows it on a world map, and there's like none over Russia, and it's all over the UK and US and Europe. Like all of them.
Matt, I'm lucky enough to spend quite a lot of time in Southeast Asia, or have over the last decade in Thailand and Laos and neighbouring countries. I've never seen lines in the sky there. I've seen all different types of extreme weather, but I've never seen lines in the sky.
Well, the thing is the chemtrails. It's a big umbrella of what are they doing. Sometimes they're engineering the weather. Sometimes they're experimenting on the people. Sometimes they're making a crazy hurricane. When I was in Thailand, like an idiot, I went during the wet season, and they were spraying a lot, but it was to influence the storms, you know? So I would imagine, and I've seen photos where they don't spray for a long time in these places. I know that map that you're talking about, I think it's from ETC Group, about the geoengineering places. I'm not sure if they don't spray in Russia at all. They definitely spray a lot less. I do believe I've got people. If you're on Facebook, Matt Landman on Facebook, I've been lucky enough to keep that alive. I've got about 90,000 followers over there. I do believe people from Russia have told me that there is spraying, but I can relook that up. But definitely way less. And then people ask why. You know, is it a spiritual
Isn't Putin
thing?
against all the GMO stuff, though? I'm sure I saw a thing that Putin had gone
Yeah, he's
against the
banned it in
GMO.
supermarkets. So you're not even allowed to grow it, actually. You're not even
Yeah.
allowed to grow GMO stuff in Russia.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I think that's
Yeah.
great. I also question every bit of media that I get. It's
Shout out
like,
to Putin.
you know,
Yeah, because
every bit.
we see stuff like, oh, Italy has banned 3D printed lab grown meat and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay,
What else you doing?
yeah, well, yeah, but have we even actually got lab grown or 3D printed meat here yet?
Yeah.
Is it no? But is it on the shelves yet? Because I'm sure it's not.
No, I don't think it's on the shelf yet. It's in restaurants.
Is it?
Yeah, in there's specific restaurants that only sell that.
Oh god.
Yeah. It's niche, Lance. It's delicacy, mate. It's digital meat.
What culture is it grown from, though? That's my question. Do you reckon it's grown from that HEC 293
Oh,
culture?
fuck, I don't know.
That's that thing that was taken from a human embryo in the 1960s.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they've been regenerating it
Yeah.
ever since then. To make
Re-schwabbing it.
the flavor. I wonder if it's made from that.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. I think that that's a spiritual thing. I think that humanity is evolving, you know, in some way, like spiritually, like our frequency is rising. And if you keep feeding and injecting the majority of the population with somebody from the 70s, you're keeping their vibration. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Isn't that crazy? It's crazy. It's all spiritual battlefield.
Yeah, there's definitely some darker cult shit going on there. It's like they say it's a flavor enhancer, or they use it for this. It's like, what is it? Is it really that good that you've been regenerating like some?
It's like some like 80-year-old woman who's got a cast iron skillet pan from the 40s that's never been washed before.
There's some dude in Vietnam that's got the 100-year-old stew.
Yeah. That just keeps
He's
adding.
been cooking for 3 generations.
Yeah.
They just keep adding things to the
Yeah.
pot. Imagine what that tastes like.
God, you couldn't go on holiday, could you? You can just leave your stew with your neighbour.
No. Oh, it's a family heirloom. Right, where were we? We were talking. Where did we get to? We were talking.
Some countries don't spray as much, and that's
Yes,
true. And
where?
people try to escape it, and you can find places that spray much less. And so it's like South America. Although there are some pretty active groups in like Peru and Chile and Brazil and stuff like that. I think it's the worst in the United States. UK gets it so bad. Germany's always
Australia?
had it really bad. Australia, New Zealand get it really bad. Yeah, these are all.
Well, it's all Commonwealth.
like, what's that?
These are all Commonwealth countries.
Right. It seems like whoever's under the New World Order, like whoever
Yeah.
really bows to them and they take direct orders.
So, Matt, just quickly, as we're talking about what about places like Antarctica and that? Are they fucking with it over there?
Well, surely they're doing some stuff but I mean, not so much. I mean, maybe they're heating and melting things and playing God with, you know, what they do.
That's
I mean,
one of the big things they say about the global climate boiling change is that the ice caps are melting. So surely if they can heat up that region, like you said, create a heat wave. Whether
I think
a
they
heat
do.
wave is somewhere that's really cold, like Antarctica, might just be like raise it to, I don't know, plus 5 degrees or something.
Yeah, I believe they do what they can. I mean, there's footage of you can watch the jet stream move, and then they'll position ships and like hit them with these big NEXRAD radio waves where they can literally push the jet stream into warmer temperatures and stuff like that. So the entire jet stream of the air and the water is being manipulated. Down near Antarctica, there's like a couple islands. There's Ascension Island and another one that are these HARP stations where they.
I was going to ask
literally-
you. Now you've mentioned HARP. I was going to ask you, what is is this in conjunction with HARP that they're doing stuff? That was one of my questions for later on, but you continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, definitely. So HARP is an acronym, HAARP, and it started off in Alaska in the north, right? And it's this football field of antennas. The antennas are like 70 feet tall each, and it's like 50 antennas. And what they do is they point it at the atmosphere. It can be 1,000 miles away, but they pick a focal point in the atmosphere, and they use intersecting radio waves to heat the atmosphere. Okay, so you put something in the microwave, turn on the microwave. It uses intersecting radio waves to oscillate the moisture in the food to make those water cells shake, and then they heat up. It's from intersecting radio waves. Same concept with HARP. They pick a focal point in the atmosphere, have intersecting radio waves, and you can even see the ripples in the sky when they use it in conjunction with the chemtrails. So it's easier when they spray the metals in the sky and then zap that hot point. And so when you watch the Weather Channel, you watch the weather, with the meteorologist, there's these H's and L's moving things around, right? H's are high pressure, L is low pressure. And I just died in your arms tonight. Cute. So you can steer weather and engineer weather by creating high pressure systems and make heat waves and all this sort of stuff. So HARP was just in Alaska at one point, but then they made smaller HARP devices that are some mobile, and they put them all over the world, and they plant them down in Antarctica and birth hurricanes, right? They birth storms, and then each step along the way, they continue to spin it and add with it different frequencies to keep these storms going and direct them and steer them, intensify them. Bill Gates has a hurricane patent in his books. There's the Hurricane Atmospheric Modification Project, HAMP, where during Hurricane Katrina, which devastated New Orleans, they were spraying carbon soot with drones into the outer eye wall to experiment on hurricanes, actually intensified them, but they can quell a hurricane.
Sorry, Matt, you're just saying that Bill Gates just intensified a hurricane.
He's got a patent.
Yeah, he's got
when they were experimenting, they ended up intensifying it. Fucking good job.
Yeah, I think on purpose. They claim that it wasn't on purpose. But yeah, he's got the patent on the hurricanes, very easily researched. He's got the patent on putting them out on the hurricane quelling device, like 2005 or something. Like he's been in this for a while.
I suppose it's a little bit like gain of function research. If you want to create something that stops a virus, you have to create a super powerful virus to fight, to test it out. Yeah. And that's, I won't say anymore, but, allegedly that's how things go wrong when people are doing gain of function research. Anyway, but if anyone needs any kind of medical advice, go directly to the World Health Organization.com.
It's there, guys. Just hit their website up. There's everything you need to know.
It's part of my YouTube training. When we talk about anything like that, we have to instantly say, if you want to get the good advice, that's where you have to go.
Yeah, it's full of information.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So, what's on your list, Lance?
Okay.
That you didn't tell me about before the stream.
No. Sorry, I just realised that I wanted to do this structure. So we've talked about where this is happening. Now we get to the how it's happening, because I think we've already touched on. There's a theme going on here. The lines in the sky are actually one aspect of what's going on. Maybe we need to differentiate a little bit, because there are these other terms, which you obviously heard of, Matt, but maybe the viewers haven't. Stratospheric aerosol injection. Now, if I'm not mistaken, is that not like the correct term for literally injecting gas into the sky? So that is what they call the lines in the sky. Have I got that right?
Yeah, well, there's a confusion. It's confusion tactic by muddying the waters with all these different terms. There's a lot of terms. I went and gave a speech in Scotland at the first anti-geoengineering Scotland protest, and I read off like 20 of them. There's like 100 different terms, but I read off like 20, and I was like, no matter what name you give it, this is all treason. It's chemtrails, call it geoengineering. There's SRM, solar radiation management. There's SRMGI, which is a solar radiation management governance initiative, where they're governing something that they claim they're not even doing. You can go to srmgi.gov or .com, whatever, and they tell you like we're governing this solar radiation management, which is geoengineering, which is chemtrails. There's stratospheric aerosol injections, SAI, which is a fancy word of injecting
Shit
aerosols
into the atmosphere. Yeah.
into the stratosphere. There's the CARE program, CARE, nice acronym for doing something where they really don't care.
Yeah, how cute.
I
It
love
stands
that.
for Charged Aerosol Release Experiment. And this is a public program through NASA. NASA has a budget of $90 million US per day. They have a public chemtrail program where they have a fleet of drones and planes and helicopters and ground-based stations and all this stuff to make noctilucent fake clouds, quote, using the atmosphere as a laboratory. It's a NASA quote. And what do they use? Aluminum, barium, and strontium. This is matching the patents, matching the rainwater analysis, matching people's hair and soil samples and all these sort of things, right? Because we had to take science into our own hands as activists. So there's also the Tropospheric Aerosol Program, TAP, where the troposphere is injected with aerosols. And you can look up the Tropospheric Aerosol Program, TAP, DOE, because it's through the Department of Energy, which is very fascinating. These are the people that are dirty energy, coal burning and oil burning. And they have a whole chemtrail program that they launched right before 9/11 in 2001. And you can find this really wordy document that won't say chemtrails, contrails, or geoengineering, but outlines the Tropospheric Aerosol Program through the Department of Energy. And you can find that through just Googling TAP DOE PDF. It's like a PDF file, right? And then there, it's all hidden in plain sight. They extrapolate like how many millions of dollars they're going to have to find, and risk aversion and detection aversion, and not getting caught doing what they're doing, right? In the first year, 2001, they spent $6 million not getting caught by the public, right? The list goes on. Yeah, but that's one of the terms that I think the CIA likes to talk about. And then basically it makes it so that the general public, they're fed one term, geoengineering, this fancy thing that's a solution for our problems. Then through the mainstream media, the same media that they've trusted to tell them geoengineering is a solution, the mainstream will tell you chemtrails is not happening yet, and that's a conspiracy, don't worry. And they'll show you pictures of the chemtrail. In the geoengineering article, they'll show you pictures of the chemtrail and say, this isn't happening yet, but this is our solution. Literally taking the piss. Like, people are like completely...
It's gaslighting, surely.
Right? It's like, and so people identify one thing as, because they're programmed, one thing, and they're synonymous. One thing is the solution to their problems. One thing is a crazy conspiracy nutter term, you know, and they like to pin the chemtrailers and say, oh, they think that they're just being sprayed with poison by the government, right? It's like, no, it's like, if you watch Frankenskies, very grounded documentary on weather engineering, weather modification, right? Because a lot of it's the weather. It's like in Frankenskies 2 that I'm working on right now, climate chains, like Shackles. I'm interviewing firemen, firefighters. I'm interviewing a lot of amazing people, but especially what's daunting are we've got these forest fires on the West Coast, and they're really using the forest fires to say, oh, global warming, climate change, we need to do something about that, which they're bringing people down this path that's the end solution is geoengineering, right? But what's really ironic is they're making the fires. They're spraying the fire accelerants. They're lighting the fires by paying arsons, or even precipitating lightning with their patents. They know how to make lightning storms, right? These fires are out of control, and they're making wind storms. They're literally engineering wind storms on top of these fires, making them really crazy, steering the fires towards cities, whatever. All the while, they can make rain. The patents are there. They've been able to make rain since the 40s, like dump rain on the fire. It's never even discussed. So the firefighters who I'm interviewing, who are in the know, it's like, why am I risking my life just for this headline to reach the world to say, oh, we need to do something about this problem, when the solution is weather engineering, and they're going to tell us, oh, we can engineer something else for you to whatever, when they're not even telling people the truth, right? And they're like, oh, well, Dubai can engineer the rain, so can we. Maybe. It's like, no, you're doing it all the time. You just flooded Houston with this Hurricane Beryl, and you're going to continue to do it. It's something else. But yeah, that's my tangent on that.
No, that was a great tangent. Now, my question was, next, apart from, now, let me just share the screen here. Here it is. No, not that one. This one. This is what everyone sort of like thinks of when they see a chemtrail coming out of like an engine on a plane. But what other methods are you talking about? You've mentioned HARP. What other methods of delivery are there on the table for this under this umbrella of geoengineering?
You did mention mobile units, Matt.
Yeah, so HARP, it excites the particles when they're in the atmosphere to like zap them and keep them up and heat them and whatnot. And then there's these big golf ball looking things. It's like the shape of a golf ball, but it's the size of like a building, you know. They're like probably 5 stories tall or something. And these massive golf ball looking things are called NexRad. And they're like HARP stations that are on hillsides.
What are they called? Sorry, Matt.
NexRad, NEXRAD. You pull up a picture really easy.
Yeah, I'm good.
NEXRAD stations. These are like smaller HARP stations that have been positioned around the world, and they even put them on aircraft carriers and put them out in the ocean and have them steering jet streams and manipulating things out there in the ocean. That picture you showed is one means. There's also like NASA. So there's different constituents. Let's just stick to the barium, strontium, aluminum, right? And they look different in the sky. The barium are primarily like primer gases that they prime the sky with, and they look like shorter trails. And then the medium ones that are like not super persistent, but like medium lines, I think those are strontium. And then the longer lines that persist are aluminum. But what they're looking to do is mix these things together, right? So NASA has a patent called barium release rockets. And these are rockets that just are loaded with the payload. And then you can literally see the rockets shooting up into the sky and then picking their trajectory. And then they're like gliders that just have these compressed gases on them. And then they unload the barium and prime the sky for the next chemical. So you've got rockets that are unloading things. Where I live, it's primarily drones. The drones fly pretty low to the ground. There's your NexRad station. Yeah, a lot of people will be familiar with that because they'll see them on their hilltops somewhere in their country or whatever. These things claim that they're predicting the weather, which is ironic because they're controlling it, so they can easily.
Yeah, it says it's a radar here.
Right. It's got multiple functions, but they can use the microwaves in it to steer storms. There's a lot of different footage you can get that shows the fingerprints of these things in storms, and you're showing it push the storm around with the frequencies and stuff like that. Everybody will stick to that must be a fuel dump, right? Well, sometimes it is a fuel dump, but not 100% of the time. I mean, they're not dumping fuel in a checkerboard pattern over your house 5 days a week.
That's why I brought this up, because it's actually quite absurd, Matt, right? This is from a site called Aviation for Aviators, and it says here fuel dumping, and you can see that this is actually targeted as a bit of sort of a debunk to what chemtrails are, allegedly. It says fuel dumping in the first sentence is an emergency procedure used in certain situations to maintain and prepare the aircraft for a safe landing. Learn more about fuel dumping here. So it admits it in the first sentence. This is an emergency procedure that happens in certain circumstances. So to try and say that, like you've just said there, people would be pilots rather would be fuel dumping in any large amount for you to see a big line in the sky, let alone a crisscross pattern above your housing estate. That's it's a bit of a stretch of the imagination.
Well, it's absurd to see maybe one line and be like, that's a fuel dump. That would be the only logical fuel dump ever. To see crisscrosses or fuel dumps that expand into a haze and ruin your blue day or whatever. It's literal mind control, and there's no possible way. They'll also try to convince you that there's hot air coming out of the engines that's creating a condensation, like how when you go out on a cold day and you can see your breath. Even if that was a fact and the engines were blasting hot air into a cold environment up there, it would dissipate. It wouldn't linger for the entire day. And why would it linger now, but not, in our past? And why would planes side by side, one not be doing it to the other? There's a lot of reasons why their narrative is false. You just have to have an open heart, open mind to see through it. If you're just believing the party line on everything, then you might as well just keep eating the fluoride pills. You know what I mean? But if you can take a step outside the box and look at it objectively, it's obviously what they're saying. The official narrative is obvious lies.
Well, here you go, Matt. This page has just kept being suggested to Becky S on
Yeah,
Facebook.
even though it's a private group.
Lance, do you want to read this out?
I kept getting this suggested to me. Obviously, I've been looking into this stuff for years as well, and this page kept getting suggested to me as a group to join. And if you just read the about section, it is.
Go on, Lance, read it out.
This group is dedicated for pilots. This group is for dedicated pilots and their supporters responsible for preserving our future by hosing down the skies with perfectly safe chemicals. Dimmer skies mean a brighter future for our children and grandchildren.
Look at how long it's been a group for.
It's got 1.4 thousand members and it's been a group since the 2nd of April 2016. Is that a spoof group then? Or is this like some like predictive programming? Matt, are you aware of this group?
Yeah, I know about all these people. There's two things.
It just seems a bit 77th to me.
Yeah, 77th Brigade, for sure. There's two things which I never could grasp the first half. So I lived in Vancouver, Canada. It's a pretty like European metropolis city. And I usually just keep to myself. Open eyes, open ears. I don't even have a smartphone. Like I do things a little differently, right? I don't have earbuds in. I just soak it all in. And this bus driver was talking to. I was in the front, and this bus driver was talking to somebody, telling him how he loves to be a troll, and he trolls people about 9/11 truth, and he's like, "That's my favorite one." People think that 9/11 is a conspiracy, so I just spend my whole time, my free time, like trolling these people. So there's people that are trolls that just do it for fun, that are just brainwashed knobheads. There's also people that are paid, and they're like, "You like that?" I got to say knobhead too. So I get to say thank you to Richie Allen, Sheep Farm, and all my blokes on that side of the pond for giving me awesome words that I can use, because I love these words, and everyone else over here looks like I'm crazy. But I get to use them when I'm talking to you guys.
Well,
so there's
Matt, you tune in. We broadcast every fortnight.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. Yeah, so there's these idiots that really actually are trolls for fun, and then there's trolls that are paid, and then there's like CIA like agents that are like part of it that know that they work for the government. I think during the lockdowns, which is the word that I use instead of the other words that you told me not to use, during the lockdowns, I noticed that there was a flood, like they called it the flood during Event 201, right? A flood of misinformation. It's just so much different sides of everything, just like making your head spin, like counter narrative to counter narrative to counter narrative. It's like absolute chaos, and the confusion and like anytime like someone's like coming into a space like, oh, I wonder if this is truth, and then they get attacked and bombarded. And there's even there's a group called Chemtrails Are Killing Us. That's a great one. Kaku, Chemtrails Are Killing Us, which I recommend you guys look that one up. This is a group, and I had to make like a backup Facebook account at one point, and then I had to get rid of it because they knew what I was doing. I signed up for Facebook again. I go on, and the only group that I could find on Facebook for chemtrails was Kaku. Chemtrails Are Killing Us. So I'm like, oh, these must be my people, right? So I go and I sign up. I go into the group members. I'm like, hey, look at me. I'm an activist. They all were just in there to slam people and to clown them, make fun of them, and be like, you think chemtrails are real, you idiot. And you come in there thinking that these are going to be your people because they're called Chemtrails Are Killing Us. Really, Kaku, Chemtrails Are Killing Us, is a total troll group.
I cannot believe you've brought this up because I've had an absolutely identical experience. I had a different Facebook profile which I used sort of for like it's not really shit posting, conscious shocks, right? I found a group called Anti-Vax, and it was literally full of NPC normies, absolutely activated pro-farmer trolls. And I worked out very quickly, and there was a few other genuine people in there as well, that worked out very quickly that it was just sort of like a honey trap for people that had questions about what was going on in 2020, and they go in there and then
You only need a few people who are in on it, and then you've just got the sheep who'll follow the loudest voices. You only need a few people who are like paid, and then
Right.
anybody else will just join in.
They'll just jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Only one paid agent in the group. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you've got people coming in there with their tails wagging. They're all excited. Oh, I'm going to find my people. I'm going to get my truth and whatever. And then they just get crushed. Like, how dismantling is that? Like, you go from empowered to just completely defeated. So there's bots, which are just robots. And I'm sure that there's that going on. Then there's the 77th Brigade. And then there's just trolls and all those idiots together. I mean, you know, they make a big mind F at the end, which is too bad that we're up against all that. But that gives us, and the answer to that is that actually is a beautiful thing because we get to refine our gut instincts. So we have discernment and intuition and call it street smarts. Everyone's got it, right? You're walking down the street and there's a crazy homeless man on the other side of the street waving a knife in the air. Your gut's going to sink and you're not going to cross the street. You know, you're going to protect yourself. That's street smarts. It's like gut instinct. You can relate that to stuff online. And as we become super sensible, spiritual, badass gangsters, like, you know, in this world of lies and truth and everything, we get to learn to discern and cultivate that gut instinct. And so these trolls and all these knobheads, they're just helping us along really in our spiritual evolution, whether they like it or not. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. I used to deliberately go in there once every 6 months before I had something new coming out, and I would go in there and sort of generate a load of sort of negative energy on their part, but it would actually help my algorithm because those people were spread all over the world and they were because they were coming onto my page to give me abuse, but they're actually sort of helping me. So yeah, sometimes it's good to recatalyze the negative energy you can find in those honey traps. So we've covered quite a lot so far. Let's just recapitulate for a moment, okay? So we've done the when, we've covered a timeline. You've gone into detail about what is being sprayed into the sky. We've covered the who as well. The how. We've covered the methodology and the various different delivery methods. I guess the next is the who.
Yes.
So who is behind this? I've heard you mention NASA, Matt. Let me start with this. In the UK, we've got this group of stunt pilots called the Red Arrows. Have you heard of them? They fly these sort of like jet planes which are painted red and smoke comes out. Different coloured smoke, basically like chemtrails, right? Now they're very famous in England. They're very, very famous. They go and they fly in the sky and they leave these smoke trails and everyone goes, whoa, and looks at them. Now it came out this year, and forgive me for not having the exact details, that one of the companies in the UK that had the contract to basically do geoengineering, spray lines in the sky, was actually owned by 3 ex-Red Arrow pilots. And I just thought, like, what a piss take it is. For so many years, the peasants have been there at those air shows. Yeah, what time are the Red Arrows on? Oh, 3:30. 3:30, and they look up and they're spraying lines in the sky, and
they make like a nice heart, don't they? And do little shapes in the sky.
But then, when those guys retire, they get to start up a little company, and so that was one of our examples of who that was.
Who better to run the lines in the sky than the fucking Red Arrows?
So that's quite a small company. They might have only had a handful of planes. This is a much bigger operation.
Yeah.
Who else is involved, mate?
Well, that's a great question. So it's the military-industrial complex. After 9/11, even on your side of the pond, a lot of things went black ops, top secret, right? For the good of, the safety of the populace or whatever, right? So the military and how do they get away with it? These people that are involved, they're compartmentalized. They're fully indoctrinated. They think that they're saving the world if they really talk about it and question themselves and whatever. And they're all on a need-to-know basis. They don't know the bigger picture. A lot of it's drone spraying, but then also I'm realizing that like Ryanair and all these airlines, when they have these planes that are ready to be retired, I believe that they're just resold and gutted and turned into chemtrail planes, and they leave the markings on them to keep us all really confused, right? So we zoom in and we get our flight app and we're like, oh, freaking, EasyJet is flying over and it's going to Amsterdam and it's leaving a line. So this must be the EasyJet plane spraying or whatever. I don't think that the airlines are in on it as much as we think. There would be too many loose ends. There'd be like a chemical leak at the freaking airport or something, I believe that there's a lot of drones involved, so many drones. And it's just staggering to see how many just go over my town, and they're not going anywhere near my city, and they're not going anywhere near the local international airport, which is just 10 miles away. They're going the opposite direction of the airport.
And can I just pause you? When you say drones, you don't necessarily mean some sort of like small little thing like this. A drone can, from a peasant's view, can look like a plane in the sky. It can cast exactly the same shadow. A drone can, for all intensive purposes, be the size of an aircraft, right?
Yeah, like a military drone. They're probably like a quarter the size of an aircraft, but they're much lower to the ground. So you think, oh, that's a plane really high in the sky. It must be. And then they are loaded with compressed canisters of the
I've seen pictures of the inside of the interior of
well,
chemtrail
another thing that I thought of as well, how you're saying how obviously it's increased dramatically since 2020 and so many pilots lost their jobs because they wouldn't take the Brittany. So there's a lot of pilots who are qualified to be pilots who need jobs, and everybody in the world is being squeezed economically right now. So if they were offered however much money to do their job, and they're just not going to ask any questions,
they'll take it because they're satanic.
Yeah, because they've got families and houses to pay for and everything like that. Then maybe that would account for the some of the drastic increase in people who are willing to do this.
Yeah, possibly. I believe a lot of it's automated. I think that
yeah, but someone's surely Matt, if it's automated, someone's still controlling the drone.
Oh, for sure.
Therefore, that's the pilot. Military. Therefore, that is the pilot. So there are individuals. This is the thing.
You won't. You even if they use pilots right now, they won't need to for long. What, you don't think AI can get drones to put a crisscross in the sky? All the drones have got to be linked to is the flight path of all the domestic and all the the peasant aircraft, so they don't get taken out of the sky.
So if that's the case, then how do we stop this shit? If
mass awareness. I mean, the way to stop it is to bring mass awareness to the people, to the point where then
but Matt, no disrespect to you there, like, to bring mass awareness to the public, that could take 10 years. Can you imagine 10 years of this shit being poison in the earth? And it's already been since but we've already had that's what I'm saying.
The Brittany, though, for that to start coming out, it's only taken a few years because so many people were on it. That could have been like 15 years down the line.
Listen, the public perception is something that we're going to talk about next anyway, because this is something that has massively changed. It doesn't take a scientist to work out that when the lines in the sky increase and people start talking about it, there is a domino effect.
The thing is, in the UK as well, our summers are so few and far between and short-lived when we do get a bit of nice weather, that the NPCs who aren't even on board with all the stuff that we know, are still pissed about this because it's their summer.
Let me just now we're going to talk about the reaction to what's going on. Let me just read out for anyone that can't see because the logo's in the way. On the left here, this is the headline with the crisscross here. It says airplane contrails may be creating accidental geoengineering. Dissipating haze from plane exhaust alters how sunlight reaches the earth and may be unintentionally affecting our climate. Does this surprise you, Matt, that this kind of weird diversion stuff is coming out now?
Yeah, that's an article from Smithsonian Magazine, and I get updates every day through my Google alerts when they're talking on the mainstream media about all of this. And I mean, does it surprise me? No. I mean, they're trying to what they're trying to do is convince people that they are the problem, right? So us flying in our planes, us driving in our cars, we're the problem. And so we need to be limited by our actions, right? When I flew to Scotland, I flew this Dutch Airways, and the day before I got on the plane, I got an email. They gave me 3 different tiers, $200, $500, and $1,500 that they said I could pay the Dutch Airways for a more environmentally friendly jet fuel so that I could lower my carbon footprint, right? So I just give them money, and all of a sudden my seat's not going to be using regular jet fuel, right? They're creating this guilt. Yeah, unreal, right?
No way.
That one I can send you. I was blown away, right? They're creating this guilt trip society through social pressures, basically to make a carbon credit, socially engineered carbon, like everything will be based on carbon. So your coffee came from far away, or you got to fly really far. It's all your fault, and they're going to create this new. So they're creating this scenario where it's our problem, and limiting our travel is going to be something that changes everything. So that's what that was basically doing is the commercial air traffic is making the lines in the sky, which is making the global warming, which is pinning the problem back on us. Therefore, if we limit the air traffic, we can. And then it's also saying, that the lines in the sky are doing something. It's like it's admission, right? But in like a roundabout, weird way where they're not really telling us exactly that they're doing it, but they are in a way.
But then the solution to the global climate warming change will be more lines in the sky.
That's it.
Wow. That's sort
That's
of
what
like
I mean.
the same. That's sort of like the
see-
pain peasant cycle that the Soviet Union's based on.
I personally can't see a way out of this.
Right.
I've thought about this a lot.
I just want to bring something to your attention, Matt. I'm sure you may have already heard of this. This is actually from March 1st, 2023. MIT Technology Review. Researchers launched a solar geoengineering test flight in the UK last fall. So this is written by an American publication about something that's happening in the UK. They've used the word fall rather than autumn. The experiment, largely designed to test equipment, took place despite deep concerns about the technology. It's actually called the Stratospheric Aerosol Transport and Nucleation, or for short, SATAN. Can everyone see that? I've underlined that. Yeah, it's SATAN or Satan.
Enlarge it, Lance.
Yeah, sorry. I'll make this the full screen. Here we go. So I'll read it out. Last September, researchers in the UK launched a high-altitude weather balloon that released a few hundred grams of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere, a potential scientific first in the solar geoengineering field. MIT Technology reviewers learned. Solar geoengineering is the theory that humans... See, they're saying it's a theory, but they're saying, look, we've already done it, but it's a theory. Humans can ease global warming by deliberately reflecting more sunlight into space. One possible means is the spraying of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere in an effort to mimic a cooling effect that occurs in the aftermath of major volcanic eruptions. It's highly controversial given concerns about potential unintended consequences among other issues. No shit. The UK was not a test of an experiment in geoengineering itself. Rather, the stated goal was to evaluate a low-cost, controllable, recoverable balloon system. And this balloon system is called Satan.
Unreal. So if I can just elaborate on the sulfur thing, the mainstream media is trying to convince the public that spraying chemicals, aerosols in the atmosphere is a good idea and it's safe, right? To limit the amount of sun getting through. And so they claim that they're spoon feeding the public this little pathway that they're walking down. They claim that they're researching sulfur dioxide, but then they also know that that's going to make acid rain and kill a lot of people. It's already been discussed. It's even discussed in my movie Frankenskies that it'll kill a lot of people. The sulfur dioxide sprayed in the atmosphere will actually kill a lot of people. They've said it in a lot of these articles. But what they want to do is open the conversation. There's actually a consortium of what they're called civil society actors. They're non-governmental participants in society that manifest the will of the public. And they meet every year to discuss geoengineering. And I have one of their notes from 2013. And what they say is they're going to introduce geoengineering to the public through the media as a terrible idea, but then refine it and bring it home and then show them that it's actually a good idea, that they've fixed their, their problems with it. So first they came out with the idea of sulfur, but that's already been swept under the rug. So it's interesting that they are using that as the concept, because it's already been proven to be really dangerous. After the sulfur concept, then the media started coming out and saying, we're actually going to spray diamond dust, but we're worried that the diamond dust to reflect the light might be too expensive on taxpayers, right? So they did that for a while and saying, we're going to use diamond dust, we're going to use diamond dust. Then they came out and said, we've got this technology, we're going to elevate mirrors in the atmosphere, but we don't know if the mirrors are going to float properly. And they're talking about the mirrors just going to fall down from space. Then they said they're going to spray calcite, chalk in the atmosphere to chalk the sky to do a whitening, brightening effect. But they're not sure how that's going to glob up and work very well. And then they said after all those things that likely the best is aluminum, but they don't know how to make the aluminum stick properly, or which nano-size particulate is the best.
So you need ball.
So you need ball. So eventually they're going to tell us, oh, the sulfur doesn't work as well as we thought, and we've actually got this better idea. It's ball. You're welcome. Bow to the ball. Yeah.
We've got a question
it's
here.
insane that they could spraying bile into the sky.
We've got a question from Ramesh Christian. He's a long-time viewer of the show and a friend of ours. He has actually mentioned something that me and Becky were talking about the other day.
He says, great show, by the way. So big up Christian.
He's asking if the Met Office and other such institutions are in on this. And me and Becky were only talking about, we look at the weather and it's nice that, and then we see lines in the sky and then we're like, right, yeah, they're going to swab the sky. And then it's cloudy for the next 2-3 days on the weather. And it depends on if it's windy and where the wind's going.
So without localizing the question, I guess the big question is, do the weather predictors know about this?
Yeah.
Are they in on it?
Yes. There's meteorologists that like literally you go to their page and they're just like literally clowning truthers and showing out of control chemtrail, like HARP, like you name it. And they're saying, they literally say like conspiracy theorists seem to think that this is XYZ. They're paid. They've gotten gag orders. They're basically like, it's basically like Hollywood or like the music industry. It's like, we're going to let you get to this level, but now, we own you and, whatever.
That reminds me, there was a screenshot I saw, and I think I've showed it on the show maybe a couple of months ago. I really wish I had it to hand. It was actually of a news report in England. And it showed a load of chemtrails, like really good ones, proper nice square chemtrail boxes. And it had, like the Latin name for the cloud. And I swear the name was Cirrus Homogenitus, which means man-made cloud in Latin. And they actually had that, and I fact checked it at the time, and it wasn't. Yeah, you remember it, Becky, right? And it wasn't like doctored. Someone hasn't just like made it as a meme. It really was shown on like BBC Weather, Sirius Homogenitus, and that that's definitely in your face, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unreal. Also, Homo mutatus. Right before I came out, right? Right before I came out with Frankenskies, it kept getting delayed, and I was wondering what was going on. And I swear it was like divine intervention, because all these new things came out, and geoengineering was pushed into the mainstream media. Whereas just prior to that, 2016 and prior, it was a conspiratorial word. You had geoengineering and chemtrails; they're synonyms. And geoengineering was just like a more mainstream professional kind of sounding scientific word, but it wasn't in the mainstream. They weren't using it, oh, we have this solution. It didn't come out until 2017, 2016. And I was able to use that in the movie. And at the same time, they came out with 12 new clouds, a whole new species of clouds, they called them. And each one that they showed, these 12 new names, they're all different versions of chemtrails. It's all really embarrassing. So that's in the movie Frankenskies as well, towards the end. So definitely worth checking out.
I've got a question for you, Matt.
Yeah.
So I love snowboarding. It's one of my favorite things to do in my pastime. And I've seen some really fucked up looking snow on social media in the last few years. I've seen people holding lighters to snowballs and them burning as opposed to melting. Can you spread any light on what may be happening
Are
there?
you familiar with this phenomenon where people have got ice or snow they've compacted from outside and they try to burn it and it sort of like melts
No,
like
they've
polystyrene?
tried to melt it and it ends up burning.
Yeah, it burn. No,
Yeah,
it burns and melts like it's like packing foam.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
polystyrene.
Polystyrene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've there's definitely all sorts of stuff being sprayed, and what goes up comes down. Sometimes snow has weird stuff in it. Sometimes it doesn't. Parents, please don't let your kids eat the snow. Regarding the lighter on the snow, I've tried to like imitate that, and I'm not really sure that every single time that the ball of snow is getting black from the lighter that it's chemicals in the snow or
I'm
whatever.
not saying it is every time.
Yeah, because I've tried to do the experiment myself, and it's like it's basically like the lighter isn't hot enough to melt. I'm not really sure about that one is my answer, but
Okay.
definitely there's all sorts of weird stuff being sprayed all the time, you know, and that they're experimenting on how to glob it up and keep it different ways and what have you. And I mean, people have got hail coming down the size of softballs, and there's all sorts of things, all nefarious, ongoing. And I encourage people to test their rainwater, test their snow, you know, don't eat it. But I'm not really 100% about the snowball melting thing.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Here's a good one. I wanted to bring this one to people's attention. While we're just talking about public consensus, everyone in the UK on Facebook is talking about the English weather and weather modification. This is a story which has been brought to light by a couple of people, and it's actually an old story from 1952 where RAF.
Is this Lynmouth?
Yes, Lynmouth. Yeah, Lynmouth. A village in Devon. Mate,
I must interject. I'll let you continue. So that flood happened in 1950, but a few years ago, Lynmouth was again flooded with the same thing and wiped off the map. Evidently, is it not even exist anymore? I heard, but please continue.
Mate, I didn't know that. I know that mate, we've had a lot of bad flooding in the UK in the last 5 or 6 years, especially sort of more in the Midlands, a couple of places, and now pretty much you say wipes off the map. You know, people can't go back to their houses. Their houses are worth nothing. No one will insure them. No one will buy them. But basically, for anyone that doesn't know about this story, it was back in 1952. A flash flood. Now it says here a torrent of 90 tons of water. I have to assume that means 90 million. 90 million.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, 90 million tons of water and thousands of tons of rock.
Who's measuring that?
Oh, it's got to be a guess. It's got to be an estimate, you know. But yeah, we're talking about millions of tons of water, thousands of tons of rock poured off saturated Exmoor into the village, destroying homes, bridges, shops, and hotels. I believe quite a lot of people died. Now, at the time, without me reading all this out, to summarize, at the time, it was completely denied that this could be anything to do with the RAF's weather modification experiment program, and they completely denied it. But a reporter on his deathbed, I believe, showed these documents that had been exposed to him by a military whistleblower or something like this, that shows that they in fact were doing cloud seeding runs on exactly the dates, a couple of days and right before preceding this, and a lot of people died. This was like really bad. It was like,
I didn't know about this.
they called it the hand of God, because it was like so you know, might have shit weather in the UK.
It's like the vapor canopy collapsing.
But like in Devon, you don't normally have a flash flood that kills like 30 or 40 people and wipes half a town out and destroys multiple buildings. That's quite rare. So it was but you know, very old, 22 years old, this article. But this has been talked about a lot in the last couple of weeks, especially in the UK, on Facebook, by people who are talking about weather modification. And I'll say one thing: these people are not all conspiracy theorists or tinfoil hats. A lot of these people are normies, and they're talking about it.
That's what I mean. They're pissed about their summer, mate.
Yeah. Here's another one. Check the comments on this. Sky News. Why UK weather has been so disappointing, and what the next week will bring. Now, here's another theme which I'd like to bring up to you, Matt. The theme where the weather is particularly disappointing and shit, But at the same time, we're also being told that it's the hottest on record. It's the hottest, driest on record. We seem to get that every month, especially this year in the UK. I guess it's not, you don't have the same phenomenon where you are. I'll have another one, yeah. Sorry, he's just going to the fridge to get a drink. I guess you don't have the same phenomenon where you're having like one lot of weather, but you're being told you're getting something else by the media.
Well, they always exaggerate it, and it's actually layered where the weather apps will say it's going to be really, really hot, and then it never even gets that hot. But then they say, "Oh, we had a record that day." Regarding the Linmouth, I just looked it up, and I couldn't find anything about the recent flooding. So maybe they're just celebrating anniversary or something like that. But I did hear there was flooding there recently, but I can't corroborate that. That bit is in Frankenskies, my movie. And it's really highlighted about the 1952 flood. Around 40 people were killed and hundreds of buildings were destroyed. And it was blamed on the government and corroborated and everything, out of control. What was the question you just asked?
I actually asked a question about the next.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
It's gaslighting. It's complete gaslighting where you're being told something that you're not actually witnessing. So
Yes.
They're telling you that you've experienced something when you have not. I was in Scotland in May. I was in London in June and back in Scotland in June. And I talked to the locals and I experienced it for myself. It was gray and rainy and cold. There's no way it was the warmest June on record. Like,
I
no
know,
way.
yeah. Okay, so
literally.
Although you're in the US, you've got a pretty good touch of like what's going on in the UK because you're spending time over here, you're chatting to people. Yeah, everyone in the UK, you know, we're right on the south coast here, and right here in Poole, next to Bournemouth, we have the largest natural harbour in the world now, and we actually have quite a nice microclimate. It's called the Jurassic Coast, where all the dinosaurs that don't exist were dug up in the 1800s. That's why it's called the Jurassic Coast. But we're actually very lucky to have this very temperate microclimate compared to the rest of the UK. But whether you live here or in Scotland or in London or in Birmingham or Manchester or wherever, everyone in the UK can agree that in 2024 it's been grey, cold and wet. Yet we've been told since May, hottest on record, and gaslighting, absolutely spot on. I'm glad you brought that up. The reason I've got these screenshots up here is because I like to go to the comment section to gauge the public opinion. So this is from July the 9th. Now, anyone can. Let me just make this full screen here so people can just read the comments, because I'm not gonna read them all out to you.
I read about 10 or 15 earlier when you posted this.
There were 700 or 800 comments, and people were sharing this in our sort of sphere of thinking, basically saying, just look at the comments. And as you went through them, it was cloud seeding. That's why it's shocking weather. What else have we got here? Glad to see so many comments about geoengineering. More are finally waking up. People, look, stratospheric aerosol injection. I'm not going to lie, I recognise some of these names. These people watch Rise Above, but there's like literally dozens and dozens of them. Now, whether the algorithm is just showing me the comments I want to see,
it will show you the people that you know first.
It will, but I looked through 5 or 6 pages. There are only 800 comments, and I would say it was 90%.
I was impressed with how many comments there are, but then again, is this bots? Is this controlled opposition? Is this disclosure? Is this normalizing it, like Matt said earlier? Like, we don't know.
I don't know. I'm just putting this on the
orchestrated?
table.
I mean, it's Sky News.
This is just my observation. Yeah,
I mean, surely, hang on.
They'd have turned comments off by now.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, Bill Gates turned his comments off in 2020 when everyone realised what he was doing.
Maybe they just got far too abusive and personal, calling him in like a pedo and stuff, a satanic pedo or whatever.
Well, there is that.
You can't call any person a satanic pedo when it comes to weather modification.
You can if they are,
because you don't know who it is. Oh, you can still blame Bill Gates. Yeah. Oh, quite sweet. Maybe that's why he exists. Maybe that's fair to say. So, Matt, are you surprised by, if I'm saying, and if I've got it accurate, a 90-10 split to people saying weather modification, geoengineering?
So this, bearing in mind, this is just a Sky News UK page. This is
yeah. Are you noticing this kind of response nowadays, i.e., 2024 especially?
Well, it's really split. There is a lot of hope, but there's also a lot of trolls and whatnot out there. I think the powers that be don't want us to think that there is an awakening, but there is a massive awakening going on. You know, the quote, the revolution will not be televised. Well, in fact, we're also witnessing a rising consciousness where the evolution will also not be televised. So I do believe people are really asking questions and waking up. I mean, the lockdowns did a number on people. I'm so thankful that my movie Frankenskies. Yeah, right? It was like, wow. Because, you know, people got locked in their houses and started thinking about, well, should I get this tested? Should I experiment on myself with this Bill Gates injection, or should I stand up for myself and, you know, say no? And a lot of people had to really do some
It separated the wheat from the chaff.
Or should I go to the World Health Organization website to get the best advice for your health?
Yeah, exactly. Full of
I had to get that in there.
Information. Yeah, they're very valuable information there, especially when you're learning to trust your own intuition and ask your gut what's real and what's lies and all that. I'm so thankful that my film Frankenskies was available during that time frame when people were locked in their homes and had no choice but to watch the movie. I mean, I've even got friends that are like, yeah, I'll watch it. Yeah, I'll watch it. But then, you know, come 2021, they're like, all right, I got nothing to do. I'm going to watch Matt's movie. And then they hit me up and I'm like, it took you 5 years, mate. Like, oh, well, good job. You know?
How long is Frankenskies?
80 minutes.
80 minutes.
Yeah, 80 minutes. So
here's the thing though, right? Unless people are already, in my experience anyway, unless people are already genuinely hungry to find out, to get someone that's like even a fence sitter to sit down for 80 minutes and give 80 minutes of their life.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Now, I can, in my experience, when I had my awakening, like shortly after 2001, and I guess really kick-started when Zeitgeist first came out. After I watched Zeitgeist, I was like a hungry, ravenous crackhead. Like you said, 80 minutes. Oh, that's easy. I'll do that one straight after breakfast. Like, give me that one after my bacon sandwich. I'll have that straight away. I was watching like 6-hour lectures and stuff like that. But not everybody is like that.
No, it's true. And that's why the first 5 minutes of Frankenskies really draws you in. And it goes through the historical chronology. It's not some knobhead giving their whole life story. Like every other documentary is like, this is me, watch me do my hair. It's like, there's no narration. It's like literally going through the stock footage of watching the military industrial complex put their foot in their mouth. Also, we got to do the why. So let's not do the why. Yeah, but I really want to, let me go back to the lockdowns really quick. And I don't want to make this show about NASA and the lies of space and flat earth and all that sort of stuff. But I do
sorry, Matt, can I just cut in there, right? As you mentioned flat earth, right?
I thought you were about to say I do want to make it about that.
May I ask, Matt, what is your position on flat earth?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that.
Okay, because my question was, right, my question was, when you said about them using clouds to create heat waves, that is trapping heat in, yeah? Right. On the flat earth model, it's a dome, right? Mm-hmm. So isn't everything already trapped in?
Yeah, but I mean, not to say what everyone else says when you talk about the globe theory, but it's very big. You know, everyone's like, well, it's too big, man, too big. But there's a lot more air up there and levels of the atmosphere. And so if you're going to go on the lower level of the atmosphere and trap in heat that would otherwise be dissipating at night, you know what I mean? Because heat rises, they're going and trap. So say there's some heat wave and it's 30 degrees Celsius, and then they come and they lay out this aluminum and zap it to near the temperature of the sun. So you got hot air on top of hot air, but then you've got a layer of metal blanket coming down, keeping that 30-degree heat in. So then at night, the temperatures don't drop. And then the next day they build on that and they make it 32 degrees Celsius by zapping the sky some more, putting that metal blanket, not letting the heat release at night like it naturally does, by utilizing layers of the atmosphere. You've got like thermosphere, troposphere, stratosphere, ionosphere. There's all these layers that you can manipulate. And this is like miles of, and then to go all the way up to the firmament. Yeah, but there's a lot of space there.
Do you think as well, Matt, do you think as well that if it does get too sketchy for them to be spraying at low altitude so that the peasantry can see it because there's too much of an uproar globally, whatever, or flat planery, do you think that can they just spray higher so that we can't see what they're fucking doing?
Yeah, I think they're already doing that.
You think they're already
Yes.
doing it? Can you
Yes.
you know, like where the dude from Red Bull allegedly jumped out of
it's
space?
layers
Can they
of-
like be spraying it up there? Like we'd never even fucking see that shit happening, man.
I think that there's what's it called? They don't get as much return on their investment, basically. What's it called? The law of whatever. They get less when they spray high because there's not enough oxygen. I think you can only go so high to spray.
Okay.
But yeah, they can go up in the ionosphere. And when I was flying out of London back home to the States, I saw a whole layer of nastiness way above the commercial jets.
Because they do seem to be spraying it at multiple different altitudes. We saw some the other day, didn't we? Which were really low, really, really low. And then other times you see them and they're super high up.
Yeah, you'll see the fluffy clouds and then you see the layer above that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely layering it up. And then, I mean,
it's
I think
almost like the same fleet of planes are spraying lower and then going and doing it higher on top of what they've already done.
It's like a layer cake.
Yeah.
Where we're right at the
they were
bottom.
doing it the other day where they were spraying behind, like above the existing clouds, and then we watched it stop as it exited where the cloud cover was. They stopped.
They literally just turned it off.
And then we saw them go back the other way and then start again just as the natural cloud cover, what natural cloud cover was. So it was like they were trying to hide it.
Mm-hmm. So earlier you asked me how it's administered as well. So that reminded me, I believe, yes, they're trying to hide it. And also they're putting chemicals into the clouds so that it rains down too. So they'll mix different stuff up there. But there's also in the ocean, there's these surface heating. They look like smokestacks in the ocean that are like these kind of ships that can heat the water and make these plumes of clouds. There's cloud making facilities out of power plants. And also just cloud making makers where they make these clouds on the ocean and what have you. So there's a whole integrated system where like nuclear power plants are releasing moisture plumes. There's releasing clouds all day long. Well, they can add their chemicals to that and then steer those around. It's not just the chemtrail planes and rockets making clouds. There's making fake chemical clouds. There's also stuff on the ocean. There's a whole integrated network of stuff going on. So a lot of people, whenever flat Earth comes up, they're like, oh, I'm such a knowledgeable truther. Flat Earth is obviously a psyop. Okay, well, great job. Heard that line like 150,000 effing times. It was a psyop. That's great. Good job that you noticed that. Well, just because it's a psyop doesn't make it not true. So those in charge, so they come together and they're like evil boardrooms, dude. Like a lot of people they like say to
think
me, like,
tanks.
These think tanks. They're like, oh, they wouldn't do that to us. And you're like, look, it's because you have a good heart and soul. You can't even fathom the evil in this world. It's like my mom. She like wants to believe in God and angels, but not demons. It's like, yo, if there's angels, there's the opposite side of that, mom. Sorry. But she's like, rose-colored glasses and hardly even believes in the chemtrails, even though she claims she's watched my movie. Whatever. We're not gonna talk about my mom.
Is it a cookie cutter world for your mum?
Yeah,
mine too.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, all right. And then she'll come to visit and she'll like have a brand new thing of fluoride-free toothpaste. And I'm like, you bought that just to come see me. It's like, come on. But anyways, this episode is not about my mom. So first off, these think tanks, they come together and literally we've got like representatives from Bayer, Monsanto, you've got the depopulation people, you've got all these knobheads in a room. 3 times we got to use that word.
The depopulation knobheads.
Yeah, right. And they're like, "How are we going to plan this? The demise of humanity, right?" And they're like, "Well, we really got to push this transhumanism thing. Like, well, we got to introduce the technology to them first through Elon Musk and all this stuff, and get them obsessing over, blah blah blah. And think they're going to Mars, get the total recall chip in their head, and what have you, And so they plan these things out for decades.
Total recall chip.
Right? They literally, total recall, like
yeah.
You never
For
went
sure.
to Mars.
I enjoy it. No, I like the reference.
Yeah. And so like the Elon Musk Neuralink, he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to Mars too with SpaceX. Ain't nobody going to Mars. You guys are gonna get little memories in their heads, and it's gonna be just like that movie. That movie's kind of like a disclosure, weird
I
piece.
never even thought
Think
of that.
about it.
They're gonna
Yeah.
implant
Wild.
memories of doing it.
That's like Elon Musk.
Yeah, and then they're gonna come. They're gonna
time
come
machine
back.
went back into the
This
80s
is
and sponsored that
mad.
movie.
This is great. I never.
They're gonna
even
come back from Mars, being like, "Oh, I got my bionic lung, so
Yeah.
I could go to Mars, and I got my cyborg brain chip, and so can you. It was so beautiful there." And everyone's gonna be like, "Oh."
I got 5 kids to feed,
You know?
man.
And
Taxi
Elon Musk is
driver.
like having these children, right? These children are going to be the puppets for this whole transhumanism thing, because they're already like named Robot McGee and whatever. So check it out. They come together and they're like, all right, we've got leaded gasoline. The gasoline was leaded. It had lead in it. It was spewing lead over the neighborhoods of everywhere in the world. The petroleum industry had lead in the gasoline. And the idiots in the past thought it was going to lace the engines and make them stronger. There's lead fumes making kids sick. Okay. And the petroleum industry in this think tank, and I'm going somewhere, don't mind me. The petroleum industry is like, well, we got to make this gas unleaded or we're going to get sued and everyone's going to realize it and we're going to lose our pants. Everyone's going to sue us. Kids are getting sick. Then you've got the 5G people that are like, well, we need 5G to be able to penetrate these homes and depopulate people because the 5G carrier wave is so small. We could do a whole show on EMF radiation too, and I've got a silver protection clothing line.
We'd love to get you back.
By
for
the
that,
way,
Matt.
once again, that's officially a conspiracy theory. If you want the good advice, you go to the World Health Organization.com. Okay.
We like to call
Yeah,
it the
very true.
wireless pentagram
Yeah.
on the show here.
Lots
Yeah.
of credible information over there where you can learn a lot.
Absolutely.
So where was I? So okay, so in these evil think tanks, they're like, how are we gonna pin it on the paint people? We got to get rid of this lead paint. You see where I'm going? We got to get rid of lead paint so 5G can penetrate these homes. Because if we had lead paint, we'd be able to protect ourselves and not have surveillance, not have 5G tower out front of our house, like cooking our balls, making us not be able to have children or whatever. The whole 5G scenario to have these 5G small cell towers everywhere, 5G phones acting as mobile cell phone nodes, emitting so much radiation, we're definitely getting fried. And at the end of the day, it's a predatory carrier wave that's so small that's just targeted at reproductive organs. So kids that are born and raised in a 5G environment, conceived, born and raised in a 5G millimeter wave environment, these children won't be able to reproduce by the time they're of age because they've been bombarded with millimeter-sized carrier waves that mess with their reproductive organs as they're developing. This is planned. So they're planning these things out for decades, centuries. So they had to get rid of the lead-based paint. So they took the lead-based paint off the market, said that kids were eating the paint, then removed lead-based petroleum gas from all the petrol stations across the world, gas stations if you're in the States, and then they never even took the blame for it and just blamed the paint companies, blamed the dumb children for eating paint and got rid of the lead-based paint. Genius, right?
Genius.
So they come together and they're like, look, we're going to do these lockdowns, right? For this, whatever pandemic, all this scam that's going to happen. So people are going to be locked in their homes for years and they're going to start to have
careful here.
You have stolen my childhood.
I'm feared in every girls' school in this country.
I'm one of the lucky ones.
Sorry, we're linking wireless pentagram with
We've got
lockdowns.
a little a button there with Greta saying you've stolen my childhood.
When we get too close to the when we sail too close to the wind, I just have to press one of those buttons. Because remember, if you want to get any proper health advice about 5G, we recommend once again
the World Health Organization guys. Just
Thank you,
go
Andy
to
PD.
them straight away. They got the best.
I've
information.
been through YouTube training twice, Matt. And I just know that whenever we say things like that, we've just got to make sure that people go to the right sources to get their last bit of information to get it right. Thank you.
I love it. And Greta, along with the World Health Organization, Bill Gates, and Al Gore, they're all very credible sources of information.
Well, we did mix Jimmy Savile, one of Britain's most notorious paedophiles, in with the jingle with Greta there. So
beautiful. So we were all about to have a rising consciousness, like thinking outside the box. Even people that never thought about chemtrails were about to watch my movie. right? And so it got pulled from the major platforms, but immediately people were questioning certain narratives, right? So they had to psyop flat Earth before the lockdowns, get everybody spun out on, oh, this is just bollocks, knobhead, conspiracy theory, nonsense. So they psyoped it to make it look crazy. And then they got their crazies having ungrounded information with the narrative so that it made it look like it was not really true. The design of a psyop is to shroud actual facts and make people question real facts and make them believe lies, right?
I totally agree, mate, and I think it's more foundational than that. I think the problem in the name is the flat Earth movement. The words flat Earth, I think, for me, are problematic. Believe me, I
It's
really,
the same as truth and
I
freedom
really
movement.
don't think we're living on a spinning globe. I prefer to call it realm questioning or a realm skeptic, because
right.
Although that I think it's very observable that we don't live on a spinning globe, the problem, and I'm not calling you out here by any means, I just wanted to get this point across. I think as soon as the words flat Earth come across, I think that's the psyop in itself.
Yeah, if they've got two sides arguing over something, then the answer is neither.
Yeah, because I mean, even if we can say that, the plane that we live on doesn't seem to be
Spherical.
We no one, and if people are saying there's an ice wall or there's a perimeter, no one's been past there, so nobody knows what it is past there.
No.
So for me, it's all about the language, and I think you're absolutely right. It was psyops before people even probably looked into it themselves and maybe started looking at the observable things about, you get one of those really super good cameras, things that you shouldn't be able to see past that curvature are quite clearly visible on a clear day over the water. I'm sure we can.
The old maps that show a flat Earth with an ice wall around it. The old school maps. Yeah, there's loads of them.
Yeah,
everyone's seen them, right? Imagine everyone just accepted, like, okay, yeah, we can't really get over that ice wall, or we can't really go beyond that because, like, thousands of people have died trying or never come back. So we're just going to accept it. Like,
we live inside
this
an enclosure.
this is our Earth. Like, that's all we know. It's all we can get. And as far as we know, this is flat.
But here's the thing: the normie argument is like, okay, well, if the Earth is really flat, why would they lie about it? With that, you just hit the nail on the head. It's to tell people that you're not within an enclosure. If you go that way, you just keep going round and round and round. There's no barrier. Would you not agree, Matt? Would that not be the ultimate reason for there to be a global conspiracy? It's
in the peasant
the clues
sphere.
in the name. It's a global conspiracy.
Well, it's definitely, well, firstly, I'd like to bring to the attention that the word chemtrails was a very, very dirty word, especially like 10, 20 years ago. And that was psyoped. The word chemtrails came from the Air Force. It was demonized, and literally they had plants in major cities, like homeless, crazy, stinky, psycho people being like with posters, like bringing it to the public in their way, controlling the information, controlling the dialogue. And it's like this: when people are first introduced to information, it's their mental pathway is paved to it, and they remember it a certain way. And if it comes from a voice that's ungrounded and crazy, that's where they put that. So I've met so many people that I've had to reconvert that are like, I thought chemtrails were total nonsense because of the way that it was presented to me. It's like, no, you met a 77th Brigade person online who made you think that way. So the why, and everyone says, well, oh, why does it matter? It really matters, but it's a spiritual thing, in my opinion, and it's about resonance and vibration, frequency, which we are beings of spiritual resonance. It's very deep if you learn about cymatics and all this, and we're created to resonate in truth on high vibrations and to evolve consciousness. And if we're believing at the root of our core lies, like we are resonating with falsehoods, like we are believing in our core things that are not true, then we're not in full resonance with truth. And when we're not in full resonance with truth, we can be deceived, we can be tricked, we can be, fooled, right? And I believe that when we're in full resonance of truth, we start to become more like clairvoyant and come into our full spiritual capabilities and what have you. I think it's all like a spiritual game. And the more that we resonate with falsehoods and poison ourselves with crap food and crap media and all these different things that we ingest, the more that we can't connect with our higher selves, connect with our true spirit, realize that we have like an astral body and that we're not enslavable and that life continues beyond this plane and that
The
we have
thing is
access
that
to
it's
Akashic
difficult
records
for
also.
most people to do that. It's
Yeah,
not
'cause they're
the easy
resonating with
route.
lies. They're filled
It's
with
not the
crap.
easy route, though. That's the
Right.
problem.
True.
It's way easier to just sit in front of the TV, eat your shit food, scream at the TV with football or whatever, the bread and circuses stuff. It's so much easier to do that and ignore what's really going on than deal with what's going on externally and internally. It's a much more difficult path. So that's why people choose that.
I think I've seen that movie Resonance. Thanks for asking, Russ. I think it's on my BitChute, actually. Check out my BitChute, Matt Landman. Yeah. So that's basically, it's obvious that we are, and you're right, the flat earth term is very predatory. And also when we grow up, we're taught in elementary school that people were so dumb, they thought the earth was flat and that's why they didn't want to travel to the new world. But then people went on the Atlantic Ocean, they realized that it wasn't flat and those flat earthers were dumb. And we're in like first grade, we're like laughing at dumb flat earthers, very programmed, indoctrinated, all under the same umbrella. But really, it's not like the biggest proof in the pudding isn't this flatness, it's the lack of motion. We're not spinning. Like there's been so many proofs. Mitchelson Morley.
I agree.
Yeah, we're not moving, and everyone's like, well, what about the stars? Yeah, the stars are moving. That's the thing. We're not moving. If you really get deep and analyze it, like we're in a 24-hour rotation while orbiting the sun. The Earth rotates 24 hours, and then it keeps moving itself around the sun. Imagine what it would look like 6 months later if we're still doing that 24-hour cycle. Day would be night, and night would be day after just 6 months of getting on the other side of the sun. And our night sky would be completely different. You know, there's little things that you can start to wrap your head around that really the official narrative, well, they try to kill you with the whole Edward Bernays, like trust the specialist, you know? That was really a good
Trust the experts, yeah. Trust the science.
Trust the experts, yeah. So I'm not a rocket scientist, so why would I, try to grasp that? It's like, well, we all can wear many hats, and now I've become like an electrical engineer, meteorologist. I mean, like just 9/11. It's like, oh, I'm not an engineer. It's like it doesn't take an engineer really to see the truth. Like the truth is usually hidden right there in plain sight. It's just the mind control that gets in the way.
That's it.
I think that's a great quote, actually.
Yeah.
Ask me why.
Your hair's looking particularly Khazarian this evening, right?
Particularly Khazarian. Leave me alone. Right, I'm just conscious of the time. Actually, it's now 11:20 here. Matt, we've had you for 2 hours 20 minutes so far. We're just over 2 hours. So I want to thank you very much. I think we've really got down to business tonight with this subject. Is there any sort of closing thoughts that you want to leave us with? We've got your links up. So people know how to get hold of you. Is there anything that you haven't said tonight that you want to finish with, mate?
So we did the who, what, why, where, when, and last is we did the who, what, we did everything but why.
Yeah, why?
And why?
That's what we need to finish with.
I'll sum it up, and then we can wrap it up. And I appreciate you guys, and you guys are great, and your followers are great, and I appreciate what you do. And thank you.
Thanks, man. It's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, you've been great.
Thanks. So for all of these answers to all these questions, it depends on who your audience is. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to your grandmother? You're not going to talk to her about trans-dimensional, interdimensional, reptilian, alien, demon,
Yeah.
That your grandmother might just be able to hear like they're greedy and they want to buy the farmland, so they're manipulating the weather. And did you know that weather is traded on the stock market now? Control the weather, control the world, like just simple things. You're talking to somebody who can handle the information. The why is transhumanism. Like it's a very deep spiritual battle that we're in. We get download codes from the universe, from the stars, from the sun. And we're in an evolution of rising consciousness, and the powers that be want to slow that down to buy themselves time to introduce transhumanism, Elon Musk, total recall, nonsense. So that's really the end game. There's all these other layers to it, but transhumanism is the end game, where frequency control, limit the sunlight, spray these different metal particulates, zap them, and maintain a low vibration frequency, keep us out of the know, in the dark, and then get us to, you know, line up for different advice from the credible
health Chancellor Gates.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's just like
Perfect.
It's really a spiritual battle at the end, you know. But in the interim, it's to push their narrative, which is we need geoengineering to stop all these things that we're actually doing with geoengineering. So it's like a big mind F. But with that said, please, everyone, watch Frankenskies, Frankenskies.com. I'm happy to send you guys over in the UK some DVDs if you have DVD players. I know that's a thing of the past. Frankenskies.com.
We'll get some DVDs up on the studio there on the back wall.
We like physical media. We like to keep physical media alive. So
send me your address, please. Actual activists.
We'll send you a T-shirt over, Matt.
We'll do it.
Send you a Rise Above T-shirt.
I would love that. I've been wearing a T-shirt this whole time of my friend who owns a dispensary in California in Mount Shasta, but he also reps the pineal gland with his brand. So that's really cool.
I did notice the pine cone you had there.
Yeah. So please find me at actualactivists.com and frankenskies2.com. SPERO, Sparrow Gear. Sparrow is a Latin word for hope. And so my EMF protection silver line is there to bring light and education and awareness to people with sparrowgear.com. And at Sparrow Gear, you can find grounding stuff and blue light glasses and all these sort of things. And I'm going to give you a coupon code for people that need it, especially for shipping over the pond. It's Actual Activists. So the same as the website, Actual Activists. You can use that at Sparrow Gear. And then soon I'll be launching sparrowgear.co.uk. So please, people in the UK, bookmark that for Christmas. Won't be out for a little bit, but that'll be available soon to have some localized.
Okay, send us a link for it, Matt, and we'll promote it on the show.
Thank you. And please, everyone, acknowledge that your voice is very powerful. The media and everything want to squish you into a little box and make you think that you're not important. But everything that you do does matter, and you could be planting that seed for the next actual activist, or you too could be, you know, speaking your voice and changing the world. Like, never underestimate your power. Not your neighbor or the podcast person that you want to support, which is great to support everybody, but you actually have some real power within you as well. So never doubt that. And it's up to all of us to play our part to raise the consciousness. So let's get it done.
Matt, you've been an awesome guest so far.
Yeah, man.
So thank you very much for joining us. I've got a feeling it's not going to be the last time we chat to you, mate. So I just want to
thank you so much.
I just want to thank you again. You've left all the links. We've had them all on the screen. If you want to hear more from Matt, everyone here at Rise Above, I'd like to say thank you very much. Great to chat to you, bro.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, see you soon, mate.
See you
Take
soon.
care.
Okay.
Rise above, generate, rise above.
Right, I tell you what. You all thought that Rise Above is over. It's not. We're gonna have a very short break, like 5 or 10 minutes, and then we have got a bit of a swab show.
It's 13 minutes. Isn't it?
It's 13 minutes. Well, should we play the whole? Yeah, we'll play the whole video. We'll play the whole video. Right. I tell you what. Can someone just give me some fucking flames or explosions in the chat if you've missed Rise Above Live? Can someone let me know, please?
I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation, because in this presentation here, I went full metal rabbit on you boys.
Matt Landman really did go full metal rabbit, and I'm so glad. Oh, big shout to Michelle, and really nice to meet you and your fellow for a coffee. Big shout to Michelle. It was awesome.
This is a holographic construct.
All right, so guys, here's a new feature on Rise Above that we haven't done before. We are going to be showcasing new upcoming content creators in the break. So right now we're gonna have a 13-minute break, and this guy is called JJ from UK. He sent me a couple of his videos before. One of his videos was about voting, sort of like, you know, asking normies, you know, what are you really voting for? Maybe you want to spoil your ballot paper, maybe you want to make a protest, you know, a nice little video like that. This one is a little bit more esoteric, a little bit more geared toward Rise Above. I really like his style.
I've subscribed.
You've subscribed already. This guy's only got like 100 subscribers or so. We want to support up and coming content creators. So I'm just going to put his Maybe it's on the screen anyway. Anyway, this is JJ from UK. Check out this video. It's 13 minutes long. After this break, 13 minutes, we will be back with the full Schwab show. We're going to be commentating on Clown World, breaking it down. Guys, don't go anywhere.
Michael.
This is a holographic.
Do is offer a trigger warning because the subject that I'm just about to cover is by orders of magnitude more triggering than any other topic I've experienced. And now we're all here, the first thing I have to do is offer a trigger warning because the subject that I'm just about to cover is by orders of magnitude more triggering than any other topic I've experienced. And the conversations within it normally start off okay, but they soon descend akin to a couple of children arguing over the front seat of a car on a 5-minute journey. And it puts me in mind of the scene from The Matrix when Neo is told he's in a simulation, then proceeds to get extremely angry. Well, what if I told you everything about that scene is wrong? You see what I did there? A more seasoned reality shifter will understand that. But when watching these videos, if a feeling of irritation is felt, then the information is not for that soul. And hopefully I've put together a conceptual way of understanding reality shifting. And my own personal struggle with the construct has been one of a complete loss of health. So could you think of a more motivating reason to try and find a place which you could be completely free of pain and suffering? So, in layman's terms, what is reality shifting? Well, reality shifting is a journey of knowing, and believing in something to be so is not enough. There are no shortcuts to this knowledge, and it is often remarked that belief is the enemy of knowing. And there's no requirement to prove all things. We have free will, and that's an inalienable right. If it was possible to watch a few YouTube videos to start reality shifting, there'd be no sense of accomplishment. Be like buying a first place medal. There's no sense of achievement. And to be honest with you, reality shifting is just not that simple. The construct will only allow the incarnated activated soul to shift once truth is known. There's no point believing truth, that would be oxymoronic. Truth must be known unequivocally in order for the soul to be allowed to shift. And the construct will offer up new levels of understanding and pathways to travel which are unattainable to the unactivated soul. And anything that's been previously learned by the soul in the past must be placed on a metaphorical shelf to access at a later time if it is deemed important or required. As we incarnate onto this world, we find ourselves without knowledge. As we sunk through the drunken waters, forgetting everything we previously knew, we find ourselves born into a cult. And we weren't just born into a cult, it was a cult within a cult within a cult within a cult within a, and so on, you get my point. But as we leave each cult, increasing in size and numbers up until and including worldwide follies where the cult is almost all-encompassing, the reality-shifting soul will find an inner peace. And if you haven't come across this subject before and you're still with me, well done, by the way. Alright, so how to start reality shifting? Step 1, prove all things. Prove all things. Now this is an essential step, and you can start by using logical consistencies or even moving on to the scientific method, which was developed by a couple of philosophers ironically, and in its most basic format you've got if A then B, if A not B. And you can use this when you look into things like the ontological primitives and you really start to delve in the depths of them questions which we're born to ask. Now the other question I find interesting is, where do beliefs come from? Now a logical answer to that question would be they come from the people who were here before, and you would put that down as that's a logical step if you look at time linearly. But we're going to come back to that question later, so place that on a metaphorical shelf, because there is more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. So what is the next step on the journey? Once a soul activates free will choice within the construct to investigate the phenomena, that soul must be humble, because what is seen cannot be unseen and what is learned cannot be unknown. It truly is opening up Pandora's box, and once you walk the path, there is no going back. You might be imprisoned if you don't take each step with consideration. If an escape, a portal, a door or a route is observed within the matrix, then treat it as a reward. There's no requirement to go through it. Some who tread this path regret their decision massively, and that was indicated, demonstrated by the character Cypher within the Matrix movie. But if one chooses this path, the grass is greener, the lights are brighter, and the taste is sweeter, for all the risk and rewards that reality shifting entails. So, once you've done your basics understanding, it's time to move to the next step. I have been reality shifting my whole life. I didn't realise that was what I was doing until 2016. That's when I knew unequivocally that time itself was omnidirectional. It is the flower of life tangentially touching each inner side of Metatron's cube, and on each connection contained within the sacred geometry of the flower, a different example of the past and future are playing out simultaneously, adjusting 13 times a year according to the collective and the singular. Think of it as timelines just slightly out of phase. Travelling up and down Jacob's ladder within the construct, there can be obtained soul lessons. There is no right or wrong path to tread. The education is always present for the individual soul, no matter what path has been chosen within the flower of life. The past, there are many, and there are many stories that have been told, and if one looks close enough and you know where to look, you will find residue of these stories all over the place. And that is why that question we put on that metaphorical shelf earlier about beliefs can also come from the future, because the cat in the box is neither dead nor alive, because there is no box, and the information is the key, and any soul can access the information, but it's knowing where to place the key, and more importantly, which direction to turn the key once you've found the lock to place it in. And that goes for every single soul that incarnates here on this place we call Earth. Observing my own reality shifting journey, it wasn't long before I realised how to use the ley lines within the Earth to manipulate shifts. Many of these shifts occur when accidentally crossing these points unintentionally by awakened souls already on the journey, nascent to their movements and influences on their shared reality. But learning how to dowse, how to incorporate the influence of crystals are just a couple of ways you can increase your reality shifting capabilities. And I know this is a long way down the rabbit hole for a first video, so I'm going to quote a line from Pink Floyd. "Everything under the sun is in tune, and the sun is eclipsed by the moon." I often wonder, when I think of Roger Waters writing these lyrics back in the 70s, whether he was being channeled, or whether he was in some secret possession of some ancient knowledge he was trying to place under our nose, or were the Pink Floyd even given them lyrics to put into their songs from a higher power to place the truth in plain sight for all to see. I personally think the lyrics did come through Roger Waters, even if they were from a higher power. And with lyrics like "Two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl year after year," or "Two suns in the sunset," or maybe "Strangers passing in the street, by chance two separate glances meet, I am you and what I see is me." With lyrics this deep and profound, the Pink Floyd's work is certainly worth a look. But if you want to walk this path and you wish you were here walking it, I think at this point in the video I need to stop, because I need to offer you a warning. The construct will take everything away from you. It will place NPCs in your way, causing obstructions at every turn. And only when the lessons of the construct have been learned, then the construct removes the NPCs like they were never there in the first place. Material possessions will be lost, and sometimes health is lost too. And in my experience of this phenomenon, a near-death experience is a very common occurrence of people on this journey. The construct is available to everybody to use, no matter how old or young, and anything is better than exposing yourself to the mind virus that is entertainment. This is the junk offered up by the narrative of the Matrix to stop individuals from treading their own path, no matter how young or old they are. It's there constantly in the background, trying to pull your attention away from your true path and destiny. But with great sacrifice comes great reward, and a soul on this journey will soon lose any interest in the narrative of the Matrix. Now there's a plus. And any attempt to feign interest in it will soon be shunned by billions of NPCs on their own unique journey from cradle to grave on their pre-programmed destination. But remember, every single NPC does have free will to activate their soul to travel the journey if they so wish. How does one know if a reality shift has been successful? Well, there's only one way of knowing for sure, and that's to look at your own individual past and see if it matches up with your own individual memory. Now, it might match up with other people's memories, but it won't be exact and precise, and you will soon find the differences immediately after each new moon. Walking around the grounds of Titchfield Abbey, it soon becomes obvious why they chose this location, especially when you look at the majesty of the towers over my shoulder there, the giant number 11 sticking up right over the node point of the two serpent energies we refer to as the Spine of Albion. And it's no accident that Shakespeare would have performed his plays right up there on the second or third floor to place that intention within the construct of this place we call Earth. One of the frustrations of the phenomena is it can only ever be proven to oneself. I've put together a metaphor to help with the conceptualization of the phenomena, so let's go back to the 1980s for a little bit of nostalgia. When the Pac-Man exits the side of the screen leaving the maze through a portal, an observer of the game has no knowledge of the journey that has just taken place. Pac-Man appears on the other side of the same screen, leaving the maze and ghosts behind. The maze being analogous to the flower of life and the ghosts being the possibilities. From the perspective of Pac-Man's journey, the memory of the way the dots were consumed will not match the recorded history of any observer of the screen. It may match temporarily, but with each passing moon cycle recorded as the passage of time, then more variations have been played out. Pac-Man's personal history of the consumption of dots will remain with Pac-Man's recorded memory on the single journey through the flower of life. Each reset of the maze, Pac-Man's digital representation manifests as the protagonist through each spawn or incarnation, where the individual struggle of the maze is in fact being guided. Pac-Man's whole experience is one of an avatar. A crystal will maintain the knowledge for each incarnation and possibly keep score. I will be impressed if that actually helps. But before one can find a portal, first one must find oneself. Now there is an order to things, and this place has rules. So borrowing a line from Pink Floyd again, all you touch and all you see is all your life will ever be, is another perfect little decoy in the lucky dip of truth. Now, I've enjoyed making this video and I hope you've enjoyed watching it. I'm sure you have lots of questions and I will slowly address them in the videos to come. So, hopefully I will see you there. Come and join me.
Yeah, we're back and it's Rise Above Live. So, big shout to JJ from UK. I will put his QR code on the screen for one last time. We are here to support other up-and-coming content creators. Yeah, so scan the QR code now. Give the guy a subscription. His videos are about loads of different subjects. I really like his style. We want to support him. He deserves many, many more subscribers.
He's got a good repertoire.
A good repertoire. Now then. Where are we? Right, so... first of all, big shout to Matt Landman. Brilliant, really good presentation.
That's awesome.
Well, really good chat, really, and I think we covered everything we wanted to cover, and also we went there a little bit as well with regards to the other, the other subjects that fit within Ramesh philosophy that needed to be addressed. However, we haven't broadcasted live for 6 weeks or something like that. In the last 6 weeks, comrades, a lot has happened. Let me just get the chat up so I can see what everyone's saying. Welcome back.
Remember, I've told you guys many times.
So, the Schwab show that I'm about to show you is in collaboration with Auntie Covia, mostly. A little bit with Johnny Fogg. I had to consult with some of my top memesters to put this one
Just
together.
letting everyone know I've got an alarm going off in 6 minutes' time for a pizza in the oven.
Oh, right,
so
okay.
everyone knows.
All right, Andy, Pizzagate.
Sorry about that.
So we'll start off here. We like to ease you into clown world with some memes. Yes, Rad33. It's me as Michael. Everyone that watches the show will get this joke. If you're new to Rise Above, you're thinking, why is there a meme of me as Michael Jackson? That explains everything. God, there's a real disparity between the he and the Shimon there, isn't there?
Who uploaded them, mate?
It was me.
Right.
Okay, so Auntie Kovia, she's basically been booted back into action. I think everyone at Rise Above HQ has felt, what should we say, a surge of peasant energy in the meme sphere.
She memed me the other day.
A rise in absurdity.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Have we noticed?
I wouldn't say a rise in... I mean, it's different absurdity. I wouldn't say it was more than usual. I would say
I'd say
things
it was
different. They're
ramping
branching out into different spectrums of retardedness.
There've been, I mean... Oh, you're muted there.
Oh, that's because Becky S was eating a prawn.
No, I was going to say, for anybody that's not watching the football, the absurdity has increased. But for anybody watching the football, nothing else in the world is happening other than the football.
Nothing else matters, I guess. Yeah.
The roads were fucking dead the other night. When me and Becky drove out when everyone else was watching the football.
I called this weeks ago when it was the group stages and they were doing shit. We were stood outside work and I said to everybody, I was like, they're going to get to the final. It doesn't matter how rubbish they are, they're going to get to the final. And while they're doing that, something is going to be going on that the whole country is going to be distracted from. And now they're in the final. So I should have put a bet on that.
So I guess really what we should more be asking is what are the peasants being distracted from?
I'll tell you something, right?
When the peasant ball goes right, like we're right into the final.
Bread and circuses.
I'll tell you something about, as you mentioned, distractions, right? This week I was working and I put up a Facebook post. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was Wednesday when the skies were particularly bad and we were driving in the work truck early in the morning down past Herne Airport.
Right.
And I took 2 pictures and put them up. I was like, look at the state of the fucking skies. And later on, I said to the guy I was working with, you wait till 12 o'clock, it'll be like misted out by then. And there was loads of lines in the sky. And you know, Bournemouth Air Show, right? It's in about a month's time. It's like,
Red arrows, yeah.
The red arrows, yeah.
They've
been flying over. No shit.
Coloured peasant lines.
There was loads of lines in the sky from chemtrails, and the red arrows about midday did a little display, and there was like some loops in the sky. And everyone was like, "Oh, they must be practicing." I was like, "That's like." It was just coincidental that there was loads of chemtrails in the sky lines, and at the same time they're putting like red arrow, pink, blue, and white lines.
If there's enough of an awakening going on, it's only a matter of time before the red arrows turn up to Bournemouth Air Show and literally right in the sky in peasant lines. Chemtrails are a conspiracy theory. I wouldn't put it past them. So basically, I think with this bottle of Absolute Peasant NPC flavour, 33% alcohol volume, Auntie Kovia has sort of summed up the the general mise en scène, the flavour du jour.
The flavour du jour, Rodney.
Yeah, flavour du jour.
Nice.
The mise en scène, that comes in cinematography, that's sort of the emotional and the contextual setting. So, Absolute Peasant.
You're very lingual tonight, lad.
Hey, I've missed.
I've been waiting weeks.
Yeah, I've been waiting. I've missed you guys. Big shout out to everyone that rides above.
Khazarian hair flapping all over the place.
I'll let my Khazarian hair down. Why not? Okay, next. Thank you, Auntie Kovia, for these tributes. We've got
look at that on the left.
Well,
look at that.
For anyone that doesn't know, my name, Double LMC, is actually based on LL Cool J. I was a fan when I was young. My initials are LLM, so it's LLMC, LL Cool J. Quite fitting. I like the rabbit on the hat. You see that?
I liked Starsky and Hutch's LL Cool J tune. That was a great tune.
Yes, that was a good one. And we've also got the fog here. I didn't know if it's I can't handle the
Is that
Johnny
from
Fog.
Johnny Fog?
No, it's from Auntie. Auntie's done that to me. Anyway, big up to Auntie C. Right, so chin up, bro. There is nothing for us back there. Now, for anyone that doesn't get this meme, what we're basically saying here is that, okay, yeah, it's 2024. Things have turned up a little bit more. We're halfway through the year. It's clown world, but don't be scared that things are falling apart. Don't be scared that we're nearer to World War III. Don't be scared that things are nearer to basically blowing up in your face, because there is nothing for us back there. Everything that we thought was good is essentially clown. It's always been clown world. It's just that the veil has finally been pulled
prominent.
away. So basically, you know, don't look back, only look forward. Yeah. Again, flavor de jour meme. Okay, just to set the scene. So what's happened in the last sort of 6 weeks? What's happened in the last 6 weeks? We obviously had Pride Month. Okay, now I think most people can agree that
this is racist to heterosexuals.
Pride Month this year, I don't know. I gauge a lot of the consensus from what I see online, especially on Facebook. My stream was just constantly filled with drag queens and pride marches, and I had to keep X. Like, don't want to see this. Get rid of it. So there seemed to be, quite an active Pride Month this year, and it definitely went on longer than 4 weeks. I'm just showing this screenshot because I thought it was quite funny that this particular, what should we call it? Is it like a float? A Pride Carnival sponsored by Lockheed Martin, like a world-leading weapons manufacturer, sponsoring this particular rainbow float here.
Did you see Blair White went to one of the Pride marches?
Is that the transsexual,
she's
sort of conservative?
Yeah,
anti,
and she was being followed around by security.
She's anti-rainbow, though, isn't she?
Yeah, well, she's anti-trans in kids. That's it. She's in full support of, obviously
if an adult wants to become trans, but like she's against the trans agenda.
She's against the indoctrination in schools. She's
our most powerful allies, trans people that can recognise the trans agenda.
Same with Book Angel.
They're rare, mate.
Book Angel's done a hell of a lot to help detransitioners and all that sort of stuff as well. And she went to the Pride March. I can't remember. I think it was LA or something like that, Hollywood. And she was just being harassed the whole way around. She was just asking questions. She wasn't saying anything. She wasn't giving her opinion on anything. But as soon as people knew who she was, they were just like,
You talk about Blair White?
Yeah. We watched that video together, didn't we?
We have a trans
it was
person.
Just unbelievable.
We have a trans person that's a Rise Above fan called Levi, that is openly anti-trans agenda.
Yeah, they've been watching for ages.
Literally since day one. They are literally an openly trans person, but anti-trans agenda and anti-rainbow. Like, along with a couple of gay people that I know that watch Rise Above, say that they hate that. I'm a proud gay person, but I fucking hate that rainbow and all that weird shit that goes on underneath it.
They've just co-opted a minority group using it as a shield.
Yeah, exactly the same with the civil rights movement.
Don't want to be used like that. It's not fair. It's making people who are maybe morally or religiously against that sort of lifestyle, it's giving them ammo.
It's giving them unlimited ammo. It's like a cheat code.
Attack them. And it's not fair on genuine trans people and gay people. It's just not fair.
But I think also a lot like the fake anti-racist movement. This whole rainbow movement is actually creating more homophobia, creating more transphobia.
The Democrats in America, it's been like categorically proven that they speak down to people of other races, mainly black people. They'll like simplify their language when they're talking to black people, but then they're the ones that will say that the other side are the racists.
Look at this comment from the shame anarchist. How do you say that? Shame anarchist. Real pufter hate rainbow phone. Is that like the equivalent of like saying like real N-words hate BLM?
Same as real Jews hate Zionists.
Yeah. Decent. Okay, all right. So on the subject, let's just get rid of that comment. In case anyone reports it. On the subject of Pride. I remember this. I was going back through my phone for all the images that I've saved over the last 6 weeks. I like your gay pride.
That's a big file.
Yeah, it was a big file because a lot's happened in the last 6 weeks, and it wasn't all Rise Above as well. So I like your gay pride shirt. To someone wearing a NASA t-shirt, I think considering what we were talking about with Mr. Landman earlier on, quite fitting as well. Let's move on. Boom. So there's a big thing about people in the sphere of not being a peasant they are noticing the blatant hypocrisy with the leading brands and corporations.
This is big talk from somebody who's driving a Mercedes.
Yeah, but I'm open. Yeah, but
I'm joking. I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you.
Listen, I openly am proud about my Nazi mobile. The build quality, the style, the overall feel.
It's the kind of quality show you get with Rise Above.
Exactly
Ladies,
the same kind of feel when you wear a nicely tailored Hugo Boss suit. It's exactly the same aesthetic. Anyway, the reason I'm showing this particularly triggering image to some people is because what I'm trying to point out is more and more people are blatantly noticing the hypocrisy from the big brands. A lot of it are aimed at the brands that are split between the West and Saudi Arabia, for instance.
And you're going to have the Bud Light effect on a lot of these things.
Yes, the Bud Light effect has been noticed, Becky. And there was
the BLE.
The PLE. There was another meme which I was showing this year with all of the brands for June that didn't show the rainbow, and people were saying, "Oh, it looks like nature is resetting." But I thought that this
They're just looking after their shareholders.
Exactly. They've seen how much money they're losing for trying to be too woke and for virtue signaling, and then they basically turned it down a little bit. But I just thought that this was a great. Oh, I wouldn't say no.
Piece of them.
I would say no.
Careful, it's hotter than climate change.
It's hotter than the sun. Yeah, look at this. And I can't believe it's not Mercedes, but BMW were obviously under the Third Reich's yoke as well. And why wouldn't they be? They're the second best car manufacturer in the world. So yeah, amazing hypocrisy in the rainbow era. And Auntie Kovia absolutely smashed it with this. I'm not going to lie, I did help with this one. I said we need 3 unicorns on a shirt. Because someone just posted the England flag with the rainbow, and I was like, Auntie C, can you upgrade this, please? Can we have a remix?
Have they actually worn that on their shirt?
Oh, well, no, they just have a rainbow armband, don't they?
Yeah, and so have they actually worn that shit? I haven't
the
watched any of
armband,
the
yes,
film.
but they haven't worn like an England flag that's got a rainbow through it yet.
No, I know that, but didn't they have a flag on the back of their neck or something that we? Do you remember that a few weeks ago? That like the New England shirt had like a.
Yeah, there was something.
On the back of the net, it was on the. Was it not? No.
No, they made a New England flag and they changed the colours.
That's right. And on the shirt, it was on the back of the net. And wasn't there some shit about a few players like not happy about wearing it?
I think there was some sort of rainbow in it, yeah. So yeah, this is 3 unicorns on a shirt by Auntie Kovia. Sorry, let me eat this pizza. How rude. But we are going to go past 12 o'clock midnight for your peasant pleasure tonight, so lap it up. Right, what's next? Andy PG, take us away, please.
Freckle on my penis. That's a soundbite right there. Months later, it had to be amputated. Fuck. Now I'm warning others how to avoid every man's worst nightmare. Around 700 men each year in the UK are diagnosed with penile cancer and undergo a partial or total penitoctomy. Where their penis is removed. Craig Mycock.
Yes!
You already have the power.
Jim Jeffries.
Craig Mycock, 54, a former bus driver. I mean, we don't need to.
Gosh. Jim Jeffries is the poster boy for this. We already know this.
Yeah. Shout out to
Jim Jeffries did it first.
So Craig Mycock is the guy that had a freckle on his penis. And months later, it had to be amputated. I can't remember who sent me this. Obviously, the reason we're showing it is not just because someone had a dick cut off. We're not that morbid. It's because of his name. It's Craig Mycock.
Is this a thing, having your dick removed?
Apparently, it happens to 700 men each year in the UK.
I've never heard of this.
Oh,
procedure.
no. Sorry. 700 men are diagnosed with penis cancer and undergo a partial or total penis toning.
Okay, so what's a partial?
Well, obviously, not all of it is removed. Only
how much?
Well, however much has got cancer on it, I guess. So, yeah, obviously, cancer's not the joke. It's his name. It's Craig Mycock. This is this phenomenon of stories that have an author or a person in the story that is named, that has a very suspect name that seems to be linked with the story. I mean, I'm not being funny. We're not questioning Matt Landman, but Matt Landman was quite a good example. He Frankenskies, looking up at the sky, is called Matt Landman. Yeah, go on then. I'll have one more. That's actually very good. Cheese and tomato pizza. So
It's actually
just
pepperoni.
is that pepperoni?
There is pepperoni.
Oh, it's got a little micro pepperoni.
Yeah,
Michael
pepperoni.
Michael pony. Okay, so this is just a random thing which I nicked out of Clownworld. And Andy PG, can you be more active on these buttons,
sure.
please? So let's talk about the election. And a great piece here from Auntie Covia. This got shared hundreds of times all over the gaff, and no one gave AC any credit. Yeah, but this is a great remix here. So they vote in the UK for any of our extra creatorial viewers. We had the general election this week. It was on Thursday. Not that we really worry about peasant politics here on the show, but obviously it's a phenomenon. Yeah, which we don't ignore.
And it's coming up in the US as well.
So there's always something to say. The official Ramesh line on voting is like, well, obviously it's at best rigged. at Ramesh level understanding 33, the whole thing is a loose harvesting peasant show.
100%.
So by even considering to vote,
and it's to demonstrate how weak your soul is.
Yeah. By even demonstrating how weak your soul is, you're also acquiescing to a system of basic enslavement. So no, Ramesh people don't vote. But if they did, again, big shout out to Auntie Covia. Both levels there. Now on the left, we've got the actual ballot box that I filled out. I voted for Rise Above. Of course, this didn't really happen. This is all in the mimetic universe. And on the right was the trolling post, which I put out, because what I did say about this election was, for the first time, there was a candidate that was at least pretending to speak our language.
I read a report, 33 million people in Britain are mentally ill. No, they're not.
What do you think of Farage, Andy PG?
Personally,
yeah,
I think he's England's Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I enjoy.
I enjoy as well.
I would like it if he was in, just to see what would happen.
It would be well funny.
It's the same as I would like it if Donald Trump was in over Joe Biden.
Not that we believe in it.
I've put this akin to a bad movie on an aeroplane. If you're on a long haul flight, it's shit, but it's something to watch.
And what were Farage's policies?
Well, he wants to reform Britain, doesn't he? Or the party wants to reform Britain, and he's basically going against everything the WEF is for.
So, no more cashless society.
No more cashless society. Immigration.
No digital ID.
No DGI.
No wokeism.
Limited wokeism. No rainbow trans ideology in schools. Yeah.
And no more people arriving on boats.
Yeah, it would
undocumented.
It would appear he would be the saviour, which is even more retarded that the British people voted for someone who's not. But,
so I put a post, something along the lines of, obviously voting is for peasants, but if I was a peasant, 100% I'd vote for Nigel Farage.
I would vote for Nigel
if I believe in voting.
Out of those, No, we didn't. We
didn't have a reform candidate down here.
No.
Is it such a Tory stronghold down here that we didn't have a reform candidate?
I think
Tories didn't win though. It was Lib Dems.
No, in our neck of the woods, it was Lib Dem.
Yeah. There was no reform candidate. I looked.
Wow,
you're different. You're Paul. We're East Dorset.
You're East Dorset, right? I'm BCP.
Yeah, BCP. Yeah.
BCP, motherfucker.
NPC.
Yeah, NPC. So. Yeah, and listen, for anyone that's getting their knickers in a twist, I'm not supporting Nigel Farage. I think it's...
Auntie Covid in the chat, raw form. Nice.
Raw form pie.
Nice.
It's all a clown to mime, but I think the best pride...
clown to mime, nice.
The best pride minister for me would have been Nigel Farage. Anyway, what actually happened? So, more memes from Auntie Covia on the left, but on the right, it's actually real life.
I put this up. Yeah, Becky found this and sent it to me.
Yeah, Becky found it. You sent it to me.
Yeah. This is genuine.
So, for anyone that's not in the UK, Jacob Rees-Mogg is this sort of like a Victorian, sort of aristocratic MP who is part of the Tory party.
Lizard type.
He didn't lose to him, but he lost
but he
while
stood next to
him, and that's enough.
The guy stood next to him is a real candidate for, I don't know what party he stands for.
And he is wearing a baked bean balaclava. For any of our blind people viewing this
we had something in the UK called the Monster Raving Loony Party.
Oh, they were great.
But I mean, I don't know if this guy's part of them or another joke party. But listen, this is the state of UK politics, so I'm just putting this here as
The,
part of
the beans on his tie are very well organised. I like that.
Are they beans?
I'm presuming they're supposed to be.
No, on his tie, that's like that 1970s.
It just from here, it looks like beans.
Oh, it could be. It looks like it could be corn on the cob.
The knot on his tie looks like a licorice all sort.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going on.
He's got a lot
He looks
going
like
on.
an edible person.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this meme, I don't know who made this, but I guarantee they must have seen Rise Above at least once. It's perfect in every single way. The WEF, Lord Schwab, always wins in any election that we have. Even Nigel Farage, who claims to be anti-WEF, I guarantee has still had his cabinet penetrated.
This is deep penetration, Lance.
Or at least one of his offshore accounts cabinets penetrated by
You have stolen my childhood.
by Lord Schwab's financiers. So
Eat it off the floor.
thank you, Andy PG. That's perfect. So, we're just summing up the UK election here, really.
Politics. Politics.
I put this on June 12th. So, actually a month ago to the day. This is how controlled opposition works. Reform UK is opposed to central bank digital currencies, favours keeping cash in society. It's like, what fucking Nigel Farage and a few of his cronies against Lord Schwab?
How's that going to happen, mate?
How's that going to work? He's penetrated everyone's cabinet. Now, obviously, I think this is is that Auntie? No, it's Johnny Fogg. Johnny Fogg's meme on the right here, a classic UK polling station. Actually taking inspiration from deep bait memes with the sloth.
Mm-hmm.
I like that cross
Schwabbery.
Schwabbery there. So on the left, this one ain't a Rise Above. This is
I'm going to take credit for this. Right, we shared this like back in 2020, like well early on.
But it
was when Theresa May was kicking around, and I shared.
It was way ahead of its time when you
Yeah.
first shared it, because this election is so true. I'm going to read it out. So obviously in the UK, there were only two people that were ever really going to get in, two parties rather, the Conservatives or Labour. So what were our choices? Now I've got to use some Ramish colloquial slang.
You read the Conservative, Lance, and I'll read the Labour.
Yeah. Okay. So the Conservatives, choice A, the Conservatives, they destroyed the economy by following a tyrannical, globalist-controlled lockstep response to Divok. They coerced and bullied the population into taking an experimental gene therapy Brittany and exempted the manufacturers from liability. They have an open-door immigration policy, which is increasing the population by over 500,000 a year. They're bringing in a Chinese-style social credit system. They can't define what a woman is, and they are sexualizing our kids. Or
Labour, the same, only faster, and with more women with cocks.
And literally, I've never heard it summed up better than that. It's obviously going to be exactly the same thing.
Kyle Greaves brought this back to life. Shout out to Kyle Greaves.
Yeah, big shout out to Kyle Greaves, one of our favourite political commentators. So yeah,
I'd say he's definitely my favourite political commentator.
Yeah, he's actually
this is my favourite commentator.
We were listening to Timcast earlier, and they were talking to the guys from Podcast of the Lotus Eaters, and they were talking about our election. And Timcast, obviously Tim Pool's American, understands quite a lot of British politics, but he was saying, like the left versus the right, and the Podcast of the Lotus Eaters were like, no, it was the left versus the left. It was just, that's it. The only people that you had that were opposing it were the Reform.
He said,
Party.
he said, in the Conservatives, you have to have a load of gay liberals, and in Labour, you have a load of gay liberals,
and some young hardcore communists.
And the ones that are gay liberals in the Conservatives just won't admit that they're gay liberals, and go over to the Labour Party.
Yeah, absolutely right. Big shout.
So it's a gay fest. Yeah,
IC33, which I think is a great screen name. Labour didn't win. The Conservatives just gave up. Yeah, because only 20% of the vote. Basically, it was the lowest vote for 400 years.
Yeah.
Only 46% of the voting people that registered to vote turned up.
Yeah, the Labour won on a lower majority than they lost last time.
Do you know what I think everyone should have done in the UK? I think everyone should have voted in the UK. Everyone should have turned up at the polling station and written on the fucking bit of paper, vote of no confidence, and put a cross on that. That's what I think everyone should have done. I wonder what would happen.
That's what JJ from UK
But
was suggesting.
what would actually happen?
Well, it's called spoiling the ballot paper. So it's
if everyone put that.
Don't know.
What would happen?
No, it's never happened.
No, that's what I'm saying. What,
No,
I wonder what
you
would
get
happen.
one party
With
is
sausage
trying
fingers
to get everybody to do that, and
So,
then
well,
they just get a load of people.
Well,
who would
Labour
vote
won
for it.
when apparently
Yeah,
only
they won.
20% of the voting population voted for them.
I'm sorry if JJ from the UK said that. I was in the
No, that
kitchen.
was actually his. No, he didn't say it on that video. That's what his idea on the
Right.
on the voting videos is like. Well, look, if no one no one
It's all a
represents
little bit
you-
golden balls.
How do you mean?
Go on.
Well, if you had like all of the parties saying like, oh no, just spoil your vote, and then you've got one party going, oh okay, if everybody else is spoiling the vote, then you just vote for me, and I only need like 10% of the population to win. That's golden balls.
But that's where it comes to
That's-
unification of a
Well,
nation,
that's sort
doesn't
of
it?
what just happened.
Which
because
is not what we're going to
Yeah,
have.
it's never going to happen.
Labour just won with only 20% because not many people voted. Half of them voted for Labour, and the other half didn't vote for the other choice.
I think we should move on. I think we've wasted enough time talking about the political system.
Who did win? Some people were calling him Queer Charmer, and obviously this guy is essentially Tony Blair's puppet, a bit like I don't know, like Hillary Clinton is sort of like behind whoever's in power, like Obama or something like that. But let me just wait. Yeah, so Queer Charmer, and there were lots of sausage fingers memes coming out. Like Starmer reveals how many sausages he had to stick up to suck in Davos to become PM, and I think that's anti-COVID. This one on the right, I don't know who made this. Kiss my fingers, Starmer. Kiss him. This picture's like close up of the sausage fingers like this.
Get it off the screen, like.
And-
It's even worse,
Like,
mate.
This is
No.
this is not made by the meme team. Someone else made this. But yeah, so it was it basically for anyone that's not from the UK again. It's all
Essentially,
to-
anyone from the UK, just be aware that we've now got a king and a prime minister who are both best mates with the Britain's most notorious paedophile.
And Prince Andrew.
And yeah.
No, our current prime minister actually got the most notorious paedophile off when he was head of the criminal prosecution.
Twice, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was twice.
Yes. So yeah.
Oh,
So what? This is just straight from the mainstream media. I didn't necessarily farm this. So there was basically Queer Starmer. He does kiss the wall. His wife is a thoroughbred little hat. Just in case anyone was wondering. Let's move on. So billionaire BlackRock boss Sorry, let me start again. Billionaire BlackRock boss backs Keir Starmer, saying Labour offers hope. So he's backed by BlackRock. That's definitely a bar.
Lord Schwar.
Billionaire BlackRock boss backs Keir Starmer. Blap. I don't know. I can definitely make a
Build
lyric out of that.
BlackRock
Build
better.
back Queer Starmer. Build back BlackRock
Russell Brand
better.
did quite a good decimation of Keir Starmer, didn't he?
I don't know. I haven't seen.
You have seen it. We watched it together.
Did we?
Because he brought up all of the.
Oh, actually, yes, we did. Yeah,
he
no, I
brought
remember.
up like the sun stuff.
Did Andy PG just try to get out of admitting he watched the Russell Brand video?
No,
No.
it was just after the election, and
He did go into a bit of
he
history
went
about
into
our man,
history of it.
Keir Starmer.
I'm
and
not
what he's
gonna
been
lie,
up
some of
to.
his videos are all right. It's just
And he was talking about, like saying how he'd stood up in front of the people of Liverpool and said that he would never had anything to do with the Sun newspaper because of how they treated the people of Liverpool.
And yet then he's signing
and then-
deals with the Sun
and then
newspaper.
And then shortly after that, he's like, I want to thank the Sun for giving me their backing and all this sort of stuff. Like he
He basically proved he was a fucking liar.
Yeah. He did do quite a good decimation of his past.
I think it's quite interesting that within like 24 hours of Queer Charmer getting into Downing Street, Tony B. Liar has already urging him to introduce ID cards.
So for anyone who's not familiar, so
Is he
you've
not
got
replacing Klaus Schwab?
Well, no, you've got Queer Starmer here who reports to Tony B. Liar, and then Tony B. Liar reports directly to Schwab, I would say.
Yeah, but he's going to be taking over from him.
I think he's taking over Schwab's position.
That's
Okay,
already been reported.
So, like, you know, old Queef Charmer has got many different names, but I had to work. Oh, God, what's this? Lord Schwab says we are very proud of is that we penetrate the global cabinets of countries with our WAF young global leaders. That's actually what he said in 2017, and someone has memed it here with Queef Charmer down on his knees in a gimp suit with Lord Schwab
enjoying his life.
And there's a great one here with Grandmaster Ginny the 33rd stood outside of 10 Downing Street helping the Queef Charmer, you know, get into the position of power there. But I was like, anti-COVID, we've got to do better than these current slogans for the new Prime Minister. So I hope it's the next meme. No, it's not. There's more. God, there's so many different memes.
I notice you're saying Pride Minister.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh, this is not. That's nice.
No. This is basically I came up with the name Queer Stalin.
That's what you sent to me.
Yeah, Queer Stalin. But I need to. I don't. Have I not got Auntie Koviet's version in this slideshow? Let me just get this off the screen a second.
She's watching as well, man.
I know. Sorry, AC. One sec. Oh no! Do you know what?
She didn't.
I did. No.
How long's the show going to be?
Mate, yeah, we need to rush through it in a moment. While I'm just trying to find it, can you just speak to the peasant den for a second?
Okay, right then, peasants fair. We got 249 of you tuned in. How's everyone enjoying the? Oh, I've seen this one.
Yeah, but not everyone else.
No.
That's the whole point. Yeah. Like, I've been working on this Schwab show all week. So basically, me and AC were working on this one for at least the whole day, and this was what we came up with. It's Queer Stalin, the Prime Minister of the United Clowndom.
It's very Freddie Mercury-esque.
It is.
They wanna be the general.
Yes, it's. You hate that one, don't you?
I do hate that.
You do hate that one.
Off my buttons.
So yeah, brilliant work here from Auntie Koviet. It does look very George Michael-esque. We wanted to capture all the different elements there.
Eat it off the floor.
Okay. So one thing that Queer Stalin did say in his opening speech outside of 10 Downing Street, he basically said Britain needs a bigger reset.
Right here, right now, is where we draw the line.
Yeah, as if the Great Reset, Lord Schwab's Great Reset, wasn't big enough for him. We need a bigger reset. So I got on the phone to Johnny Fogg. And I said, mate, here's the premise. And we came up with this, the World Demonic Forum. And as you can see, Lord Schwab is driving the boat up here. We're going to need a bigger reset. Literally, he hadn't been in Downing Street 5 minutes. Right. So he was in Slumdog Billionaire. Queef Dog Billionaire was out. Have you seen the dress that she wore? His missus.
I haven't actually.
As they were leaving. Let me just blow this up a little bit.
The QR code.
Oh dear.
Well, it's not just a QR code. It's pretty much exactly the pattern from Cornerstone's Temple.
Oh yeah.
Like, no, and someone here, Pixelar, is saying no way she chose that. Like, it looked really bad. It looked really shit. And this woman is like a multi-billionaire, isn't she?
Yeah.
Her family is super rich. They're richer than Slumdog.
I dread to think what's happened to the poor woman in her childhood.
I know it's it looks bad.
She looks like she's from an Asian horror film.
Okay,
she looks very rigid.
We've still got some more to get through. Right, this was a big story, which I'm noticing in the last few weeks.
Get rid of the chat overlay, Lance. I can't. My computer's gone AWOL.
Okay. Let me just get rid of the chat overlay. Has everyone seen this? Two separate stories here, which are obviously linked. Chinese scientists, good old Chinese scientists, they create robot with lab-grown brain made from human stem cells. Now, this stuff has been talked about for years. We've joked about it on the show.
How long does it take to cook up a brain?
Probably not as long as you think.
Right.
Probably not as long as you think. But now they're saying they've actually done it. They've created a robot with a lab-grown brain made from human stem cells. So that's an organic brain inside a robot.
This is fucked.
At the same time, this is June 25th, so 3 weeks ago now. Robot face with lab-grown skin created by scientists hoping...
Lab-grown living skin. So
lab-grown living skin created by scientists hoping to make human-like cyborgs.
And they've already done the chickens without brains, haven't they?
Yep, we've covered that. So the chickens don't feel anything.
Mate, this is horrendous. The brain, that's worrying.
No, we've heard about these stories for years ago.
Imagine an army of these fuckers.
I'd like to point out, I fact-checked this, and it was across many different reputable science magazines. So it seems like this has happened now. So we're being told this has happened, not this is going to happen in the future. So we can pretty much gauge by the peasant sphere. This has been happening.
Quite literally RoboCop
for an awfully long time. They have perfected this now. This has been perfected many years ago.
For sure.
If we follow the patterns of what we can observe,
this is where your tax money's gone to NASA.
Yeah,
this is exactly where the money's gone.
When we see weird things happening on the screen and talk about clones and robots, keep this stuff in mind. A living lab-grown brain inside a robot.
God bless Joe Biden.
A robot. I was literally thinking about Joe Biden. A robot literally covered in living human skin tissue.
Joe Biden is not.
Fuck.
Yeah, he's an older model. That's a model. That's 80s.
It's like the
definitely not
T800.
80s technology, comrade.
It's not living skin, whatever is on that
so
guy.
Again, we've got a fitting meme straight from the anti-Coviet stable to go with this one. The Borg ultimatum: plug in or die.
Excellent.
So whether you plug in some living organic peasant's juice into your brain, or you are living organic peasant juice covered in some human-grown lab meat,
that's awesome.
We're all inclusive right here, comrade. This applies to you too. Plug in or die. Okay, totally unrelated, but still from the peasant sphere. It has been noted that bird flu is on the horizon, and there is a summit, an international bird flu summit, right in front of a massive obelisk. Comrades, make sure you get your tickets now. You want some event 2033 business.
Come on!
Yeah, this is the conference in October. Is this like event 201? Only one way to find out. Time will tell. I thought we'd put it on the table early. Maybe we'll hear more about this. Maybe we won't. But I thought the massive obelisk was... listen, look what it says at the top. Preparedness, prevention, detection, response, and recovery.
Is that a lyric?
No, do you see what I mean? In birds, in cattle, in pets, in people. See what I mean? It's definitely... There's some planning going on there. Okay, electric vehicles. Not a good time for electric vehicles in the last 4 to 6 weeks. Increasing reports of massive Schwabian failure across the board. Electric car drivers will be forced to pay London's £15 a day congestion charge from Christmas 2025.
Stop hogging my light.
Stop refusing me to hold it all the time. Okay, so bad luck.
You're such a fucking Jew.
Bad luck. I'm Khazarian, get it right. Bad luck to all you early adopters of the EV bandwagon thinking you're saving money on your Schwabian charges. No, comrades, you are the same.
And your car's likely to explode whilst driving it. Or maybe your brakes will just fail.
Yeah. And also, electric Amazon delivery vans keep burning down and chargers may be to blame. Amazon appears to have traded internal for external combustion with its Rivian fleet. I thought that was quite funny. Maybe this is from an alternative source. But I don't doubt it's true because we can all see it's happening anyway. So not a good time for EVs. Massive psyop. Julian Assange.
Shout out to Word Nerd.
Yeah. Basically, for anyone that remembers Word Nerd, this was the final nail in the coffin. The guy just wouldn't stop going on about Julian Assange. Now the dust has settled and he's stopped getting his knickers in a twist. I don't mind telling you, I had to sack that guy off because he was still fully invested in these like normie truth narratives like Julian Assange
and Q.
So obviously for anyone that wasn't paying attention, Julian Assange got freed. I think he did some
Julian Assange.
Some plea deal where basically he almost had to retract a lot of what he said. Probably had to say, yeah, WikiLeaks was a load of bollocks. Great memetics from Auntie Covia. Let me just get that back up on the screen. Really good work here. NPC's hero, Julian Assange. Trust me, bro. Julian is on our side, bro. He will reveal the truth, bro. He's here, bro. He's a hero. Ignore his stunts on 9/11, bro. He's not a shield actor. Come on, bro.
I'm back to Q.
Come on. Have some hopium. Bro. Julian Assange kisses his wife on release.
Oh dear.
Snogging Russell Brand. And there's Albert Pikey saying, whenever the people need a hero, we shall supply him. And I think this is probably one of the greatest examples of that going. I think we can all agree on that here. Assange, the most long-winded, boring psyop in history. Julian Assange gets released and on 6/66, 6/24/24. And some of y'all actually still think this shit is real. And there's even a card from the
the Illuminati game. Excellent.
The Illuminati card game has got a card that looks like Julian Assange. Of course it has. Why wouldn't it? So, great quote here. If someone is on the world stage, it's because they were put there to fulfill a role. There are no heroes. That's the cold, hard truth, Michael.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, that was our thoughts. I think that's...
thoughts?
That's raw thoughts on Julian Assange. Is there one more meme? We're about to find that. No.
I mean, that is
the last Julian Assange meme. So let me just change the screen here a little bit. We're getting through this nicely now. So what else? That's a new view. 2 cameras there and this one here. Okay. So what's next? Taylor Swift swallows a bug during a London concert and gets caught on video.
Schwab's ready here with his latex glove.
Now, on the subject of bug eating, I've got a couple of very short clips to play. They're only like 30 seconds each. Does anyone remember?
I don't know why she's choking. I thought eating bugs was all the rage.
I'm pretty sure I haven't showed this on the show before. But there was like the eclipse in America, and then there was like some locusts and shit. And
I wasn't aware of locusts.
Yeah, there was a locust thing that was going on across 3 or 4 states. So this is a clip of like, I don't know if it's a baseball game or whatever, we're about to find out. But there's the locust problem there. And there are people in the crowd
eating them. I've seen that.
I've put this on Facebook before, right? But what is
that? It's a little odd. He's holding a cicada. No. Pitch is down and away. Oh, no. That's awful. Way. Well, I guess other folks are getting in on the act as well.
These dudes are paid motherfuckers to do
This
this.
is not pleasant, and they're showing it.
So they're trying to suggest that people in the crowd are literally picking live insects out of the air and eating them. And that's normal behavior. That's Exhibit A. We're on the subject of bug eating, by the way, now. You've seen this is Clown World. That's Exhibit A. Here's Exhibit B.
Totally sustainable English breakfast in 10 minutes. Start by grabbing some air-dried bugs on Amazon. These grasshoppers and crickets have more protein than pork and are totally carbon neutral. Then add a generous splash of soy milk, followed by 4 large spoonfuls of organic coconut flour. For meat colouring, try using organic beetroot. Add some oregano for smokiness and any seed oil of your choice. Blend the bug mix together until it thickens into an even slurry. 1 kilo of carbon neutral bug mince. Next, leave the bug mince in the refrigerator for 20 minutes until it oxidizes. Time to bring home the bacon. Simply mould your bug mince into traditional English sausages by hand using coconut flour to prevent sticking. For the bacon, slice a thin piece of bug mince and flatten it down into delicious rashers. Yumma yumma. Add some seed oil to a pan and boom, bug bacon, bug sausages, and even some homegrown compost mushrooms. Simmer lightly until golden brown before the totally plant-based egg alternative. Look at that golden yolk. Make sure to flip the plant-based egg and also flip everything else in the pan. To decolonize the dish, I use gungo peas instead of beans, before sneaking in some vegan black pudding for the final touch. And look at that, a full English breakfast. By using Ethiopian injera bread instead of plates, no washing up is required, making this English breakfast 100% sustainable and fully decolonized. Don't forget the ketchup.
That is fucking horrendous.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I don't.
Did you say? Did you hear him say that's fully decolonized?
I'm going to decolonize this breakfast by not having baked beans and having gungo peas.
So that is a non-racist breakfast.
I think that might have been a spoof, guys. I'm not going to lie. I think it might have been a spoof, but nevertheless, I think it is also very telling because all of those products are real.
Yeah.
They're all available, and that guy is obviously taking the piss out of people that are into that.
Is he though?
No, I think he is. I think that's a piss take. I think that's a very, very good piss take. But that's what I'm saying. It's so good that some people can't actually are questioning if he really did that. But where he's going on about decolonizing the breakfast by taking out baked beans, that's too good. That's good writing. Unless Clown World is really that good. See, the way DPG's looking at me, I'm questioning my own judgment now. Can we get some comments in
There are people out there like that.
Hashtag real or fake?
They wear it as a badge to be that carbon peasantry neutral.
Auntie Covey is saying it was a spoof. Do you not think the guy looked like too much of
It might have been a spoof.
a textbook?
I'm still saying there are these people
How many
out there.
spoofs have turned into like real life?
Yeah,
it's true. I'm saying it is a spoof, but it is such a good spoof that it could be totally real.
There's spoofs from 10 years ago that right now are absolutely happening on
maybe,
a daily basis.
Maybe that's a psyop in itself to put a spoof out there, and then these peasants who are actually wearing the glorified climate change as a badge be like, actually, I can make a full English fry up.
I have no
exactly
doubt
like that
a proper conscious SJW NPC peasant would watch that and go, fuck, where can I get that?
SJW NPC peasant. This is like the alphabet mafia.
But imagine like if they have no internal monologue, they've got no self-awareness. They've seen that guy that has done such a great piss take of them literally spell out how they can make a purely ethical, bug-based, Schwabian, anti-colonized breakfast. And like they're gonna watch that and go, fucking hell! How can I
get their mates round for
Where's
it?
the Schwab code?
Yeah.
Let me scan the Schwab code to make this.
And then make a TikTok video about it.
Can you ping me the recipe in your Neuralink? Just download it directly to the brain.
This is what Rise Above is all about. Okay, so great segue. Look at our next story here, and again, this is totally real.
Maggot milk.
No.
Just when you thought it could get any worse.
This guy needs to be genocided.
Bill Gates promotes maggot milk as a solution to child nutrition. Oh, so he's going to get it to kids first. He'll give it to kids in the third world that can't get proper, like they can't get the poison Nestle formula they give to babies.
Plants. He's just trying to help. That's all he's trying.
He's a full-on rapist. Sorry, philanthropist.
By the way, everything we're saying is a conspiracy theory, and if you really want to find out the truth about Bill Gates, you should go to the worldhealthorganization.com
or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yes, ideally, even better. Maggot milk, a solution to child nutrition amid manufactured food crisis. What? Oh no, I think this is from the True. Oh yeah, okay, it's from David Icke's newspaper.
His skin looks a bit leathery on that right-hand picture.
Sorry, it's a completely true headline that I just had to second check because it's so true. Bill Gates promotes maggot milk as solution to child nutrition amid a manufactured food crisis, which is exactly what's happening. Global billionaire Bill Gates is promoting maggot milk as a solution to the problem that he created in the first place. Bill Gates launches maggot milk to feed the general public. Thanks, Frank Bergman. Microsoft.
Berg, yeah?
Yes.
A Berg.
Bergman.
Right, yeah.
Bergman. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has launched a new project that seeks to introduce maggot milk into the food supply of the general public. The new Ento milk is described as a dairy alternative that is made from the black soldier fly larvae or maggots. I don't know what sounds worse, black soldier fly larvae or maggots. Either.
Get that on your cornflakes in the morning, mate.
Yeah. Next Clown World headline from the last few weeks. The biggest gathering of NPCs in the world is called Glastonbury Festival. Sorry to any viewers.
No, I'd agree.
It is true.
Yeah.
Sorry to any viewers that had the misfortune of going to Glastonbury. Bad news. It's a massive peasant harvesting ritual. So in the past, they've had Greta, Rolf Harris. Well, I'm not going to lie. I went like 15 years ago, the first year they put a fence up before I knew about peasant harvesting, obviously. And who was on Sunday? Rolf Harris.
Nice, mate.
Rolf Harris
strumming
with
his banjo
didgeridoo.
for here, was he?
So since then, things have come along. They have people like Jeremy Corbyn, Greta Thunberg on. This year, they decided to have the world's leading satanic priestess, Marina Abramovich.
Yeah, great choice.
Yeah, so on the thousands of vegans are expected to conveniently put their principles aside at Glastonbury Festival this week as they enjoy the time of their lives on a working dairy farm. I'm not having a go at vegans. I'm just pointing out facts here, by the way. What happened? What was this? Basically, she did on the pyramid stage, which obviously has its own connotations. 7 minutes of collective silence in the middle of a very noisy festival with hundreds of thousands of people. The artist will visit Stonehenge at 6 a.m. to stand in the middle of a circle in order to get all the energy she, in commas, can before making her way to Glastonbury. The crowd will be silent and then scream 3 times. On Pyramid
Right, if this
Stage.
isn't a dude, why is the Guardian?
It's Robert Maxwell's brother.
Yeah, I know that, but why is the Guardian put she in brackets? Like,
yes,
if she's
that's
not
why
a
I
dude.
highlighted it, comrade.
Yeah, if she's not a dude, why would they do that?
So Pyramid Stage during day 3, 7 minutes, and the crowd screamed out 3 times. You got 33 there. 7 minutes of collective silence.
I think that's just replacing the word I.
What's replacing the word I?
The way that they've put it in brackets there, because if that's a quote from her where she said,
Oh,
I'm
right,
going to get all the
yeah,
energy
yeah.
I can.
I think you're right.
They've replaced I with she.
Yeah, they do that sometimes.
That's how it's
Okay.
annotated.
Okay. So yeah, I think we've made it. I thought it was clear on that subject. Be careful what we say here. In Finland, they're going to be spearheading the avian glue Divok Brittany. World's first. And as you can see from this anti-Coviet meme, what the fuck do you mean it's time for our Britneys? The rise above stance will remain the same throughout the next Coviet conflict. I think this is the final one. Yeah, 33 minutes past.
I wonder if enough people will roll up their sleeves for a bird flu Divok shot.
It won't be
because
as
so
many.
many people have they've taken the Astro Junica shot off the shelf, haven't they?
I can guarantee it will not be as many people.
No.
Even if they try as hard, it won't get as many people this time. I honestly don't think.
Is this just going to be another monkeypox? That never really took off.
Monkeypox
Did
was
it?
too stupid. They
It
tried.
never really took off.
I think.
We killed that with memes.
Yeah,
we did. Yeah.
King David called it. We stopped it with memes. And obviously, every single memetician that's part of Rise Above played their part in that epic skirmish. Right, we've got a little smorgasbord of Clown World headlines here to finish off the night. Let me just make sure. Okay, two slides left. So you can start on the left, Andy PG.
Two astronauts stuck in space as Boeing analyzes Starliner problems.
So more delayed astronauts, more reasons they can't go back to the moon, allegedly. But you notice Boeing isn't mentioned there.
Yeah.
They've been in the news a lot recently, haven't they?
So, yeah, about fucked planes. But, I mean, I sent you this, and the reason I sent it to you, I circled the Habsburg jaw of the female astronaut.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Let's make that big.
That's what I actually sent it for. I was like, a bit of Habsburg in the
She
morning.
looks like Habsburg, like royalty.
Yeah.
Like high level. Look at the size of her jaw.
I know.
Let me just make that big. Whoa. And we're looking at this thing here, if you can see my mouse.
This thing, correct.
She looks like
a Habsburg
She
and a
looks like
half.
the evil witch of the West out of the original fucking Yellow Brick Road film.
That is high level Habsburg, mate.
It's like a Habsburg steam.
If they're all actors, why wouldn't it be a Habsburg in there?
Of course. But surely on like a space
This
mission,
puppet next to her is probably her butler.
a space mission with limited space.
He's not called Butch. I'm sure he's called Butch.
Is he?
He looks like someone that could be Butch.
I watched a video earlier.
Barry Wilmore is his name, and Sunita Williams but spent the better part of a month in the ISS as engineers. They work out the problem. Boeing.
Sun Eater.
Yeah, so when is it going to happen? When are they going to finally go back to the moon? 2026 now, 2027? I wouldn't hold your breath. So here's a good one. I thought this was a great story.
Remote Amazon tribe finally connects to the internet, only to wind up hooked on porn social media.
Basically, Elon Musk sent his Starlink satellites to one of the most remote tribes that had a fair size population, 2,000 people. You know, it wasn't 30 or 40 people, because obviously when you do an experiment, you need enough test subjects to make it worth it. So they introduced the internet, and I think 80% of the of age men, the virile men, are totally addicted to porn on the internet. Just sit around wanking all day. Don't go hunting. The society's
So
fallen.
mission accomplished.
Yeah. The test is, it works.
Yeah, it works.
It works. A reclusive tribe in the Amazon finally got hooked up to the internet thanks to Elon Musk, only to be torn apart by social media and pornography addiction, elders complain. The 2,000-member Marubu tribe has been left bitterly divided by the arrival of Tesla founder Starlink service 9 months ago.
Hang on, let's break this down a bit. So some cunt had to actually go and teach them how to use a phone or computer to do this shit, didn't they?
I'm gonna hazard a guess that they've probably
responsible.
given them some pretty high-tech touchscreen stuff, because to get someone that's never even seen a computer before or doesn't even know what it is, and to also get them to use the internet and to get them to learn how to type in a language they've never read before, and to even understand what typing is, I think could probably be quite a big stretch. So I reckon they've probably got some big touch screens where they've got some apps. But then again, they would still have to type.
Just a penis.
But they would still have to type in
some cooking apps, maybe.
Well, I don't know, like
if you make some Western food.
But yeah, they've still got to type in like RedTube or XXX. You know, they're not going to have an app for like hardcore porn.
Oh, they've just
maybe they get an
told
Amazon
the website to translate things.
How do we know they didn't have?
That's all you'd need is just here is the website to translate things.
Just speak into the microphone.
Put in what it is that you want, and this is what you need to search for. They don't need to be taught each thing individually. They just need to be taught how to translate it.
But I'm saying if like maybe they might not even have
Google,
but they might not even have written language. A lot of these tribes have only got oral language.
Yeah, they do voice recognition.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
If you taught the AI
just speak into the microphone.
Speak to the
just
microphone.
Speak into it, and then
just
it'll put it into Google, and it'll give them all the results. They just have to click on it. It's not that difficult.
No, just speak to Michael.
Yeah, it probably took them about 33 minutes to work out how to get porn.
Or maybe he's giving them a Neuralink.
Maybe they just maybe they just instantly showed them how to access porn.
Yeah.
And said, there you go, see what happens. And then on the right, we've got, it turns out that Juggalo makeup blocks facial recognition technology. So who would have thought it in clown world?
Insane clown posse.
If you want to evade Al Gore technology.
I knew I had good taste in music.
Yeah.
You can wear clown face paint.
Back in 2021, I remember I found there's this website and they make anti-facial recognition clothing. And we shared it online. And it's similar to it's like blotchy, pixelated type clothing.
I saw a new EMF clothing company the other day that were literally it's a high level one. It's like a whole tracksuit was £400 or £500.
Right.
They were literally selling tinfoil hats.
Oh, nice.
Proper bucket hats made of this high level, high grade, like aviation grade aluminum. But it wasn't aluminium. It was like all of these other metals that actually blocked out fucking 100% of harmful shit. And
let's get my sewing machine out then.
This stuff was
just solid lead.
This stuff was it's expensive, and it looked like something out of a 90s music video. But it was like there was obviously some technology behind it, because no one was paying £400. Well, actually, stupid NPCs would. They would pay £400 for a pair of like silver tracksuit bottoms.
Yeah,
because someone saved you from Al Gore. So, and last but not least, because we are going to wrap it up.
I found this one yesterday.
Go on, Addy PG.
Butter made from CO2 could pave the way for food without farming.
Peasant margarine.
I reckon that's going to be a slogan: food without farming.
Yeah,
I reckon that's going to be a little three-word mind control slogan. A new type of dietary fat that doesn't require animals or large areas of land to produce could soon be on sale in the US as researchers and entrepreneurs race to develop the first synthetic foodstuff.
US startup Savor has created a butter product made from carbon in a thermochemical system closer to fossil fuel processing than food production. There is no biology involved in our specific process, says Kathleen Alexander. From the firm. Instead, its butter is derived from the carbon in coal, methane, or carbon dioxide. The petrochemical industry uses such inputs to create sign gas, a blend of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Sounds well safe. This is which is then turned into long chain hydrocarbons. in what is called a Fischer-Tropsch process, Michael.
So all that sounds very wholesome and
It sounds
nutritional.
a lot like the petroleum jelly type.
Yeah.
Of
I wonder if it
thing,
gives
like
you cancer.
Excess.
I mean, it doesn't sound good, does it?
Do you reckon a byproduct from the petrochemical industry that blends carbon monoxide and hydrogen might give you cancer?
I wouldn't like to sit down and eat a meal with any of those ingredients in them.
I wouldn't even want to be
Not
in a
one.
room with the same block of
No.
that butter, let alone spread it on my crumpets.
No,
thank you very much, Michael.
Oh, I'd love a crumpet.
Oh,
I do like
crumpets. Okay, right, guys. I think that is the end of the show. We're it's 1:45. Right, so Rise Above. Let me just get back to the start of the Schwab show so I can let you know when we will be back. We're back in 2 weeks on Friday the 26th with. Damn, it's a long Schwab show.
That was a long Schwab show.
There it is. There it is. This is the show that we're going to be back
The
with.
RAOlympics, guys.
Yes. So remember, if you're on Patreon,
What is the imagery there?
That's from the 2012.
Yeah, I know the nurses now. Like, what's that big shit?
It's a Schwabian baby being born into the New World Order.
Disgusting.
So remember, if you want to see some of the pre-research, which we've already done for this show, it's available. It's called The Rabattoir. It's on Patreon right now. Patreon is only £3 a month, and you get to see our research and our digs that we do before it comes to the live show, and loads of other exclusive shit as well. It's one of the best ways to support Rise Above.
There's loads of perks, guys.
A big shout to the 51 people that are already on there. We need 100 people to cover our costs. That's our target. So we need 49 more people before we break even on Rise Above and we have all of our costs covered. So thank you very much for everyone subscribing to Patreon. Right, Andy PG.
Hit the like button, guys, and subscribe. Yeah. See you in 2 weeks for RAOlympics.
Yeah, we'll see you.
Go buy some peasant juice.
Yeah,
go buy some. Yeah, have a pint of peasant juice.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have the canister of peasant
Enjoy
juice.
the football with some peasant juice.
Right, see you guys later. Rise Above.
Rah.